Back in 1909, there was a dream to build a racetrack that will test man and machine like no other. In 2011, the first ever Indianapolis 500 was run, and it was won by a driver who had innovation. Roy Haroon didn't want a second guy in the car, he wanted a rear view mirror, and he set the trend for what was to follow. Next weekend, on Memorial Day weekend, we are going to excite ourselves with the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500. But 1 week beforehand, we bring you the 7th edition of the iRacing Indianapolis 500 from the famous corner of 16th Street and Georgetown. This is a track that fans and drivers love more than any other. You can see there the pagoda in the background, the scoring pylon. The fans will be streaming to IMS over the next week, and we are about to kick off the biggest sim racing event of the year. This is indeed the greatest spectacle in sim racing, and it will be next here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacingLive.
Heroes, legends. These are the icons that inspire us. Larger-than-life characters who risk it all, looking fear in the eyes and wrestling it to the ground. Men who are never satisfied. It's an unquenchable thirst. A win is never enough.
Oh, no! And just at that moment, losing control of the car. He looks for a place to come by. Got people out there shouldn't even be in the goddamn race car.
Michael Andretti, dramatic return to IndyCar racing from his year.
Inside. Once more, Adrian.
Who will be the next to stake their claim in history?
The field moving off now, falling in line behind the pace car. Daly Sullivan losing control of the car. 223 miles an hour.
Andretti, Cornish, it's a drag race. He's making a move.
Well done, my man, well done.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the corner of 16th Street and Georgetown. If you're an IndyCar fan, you know that address means one thing. It means we are back home again in Indiana as we welcome you for the 7th time to the iRacing Indianapolis 500. Now here's some stats about the race for those of you who are watching your first iRacing Indy 500 broadcast. In this, the main event, we have never had a repeat winner. We have had some of the world's biggest sim racers win one race. We've also had some of the world's biggest sim racers fail to make it the 200 laps and get themselves that coveted virtual trophy and the ability to drink the sweetest milk you will ever taste and say, I am an Indy champion. So for the 7th time in approximately 20 minutes from now, we are going to wave the green flag for another 200 laps, another 500 miles, another 800 corners. As we welcome you here on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacingLive to the RaceSpotTV booth. Will Vincent, along with Aaron Likens and Paul Jenkins. Aaron, the gang is back together again.
Oh, yes, it is. And I think this, for the three of us, is the event we look forward to all year long. Some of the most memorable moments that you've called, that I've been a part of, have come from this race. And the winner here today is going to have to put in 200 laps, 800 corners, and every pit stop. You cannot slip one wheel here today and win. And, well, it's great that the gang is back together, Will.
And indeed so. Paul, when we come to Indy, there's always just a little something special in the air. I don't know what it is, and of course in a week's time we're celebrating the 100th edition of this grand event. But in iRacing terms, it's simple. Win here and you become immortal. The likes of Tim Doyle, the likes of Young-O, the likes of Cam Stark last year, Tim Holgate, are now in a very, very elite group that some would literally give their right arm to join.
Well, and you know, 100th running of the Indy 500, steeped in tradition, makes you really realize how important this race is to people. But here today, the iRacing Indy 500, you know, we think about qualifying in the race, two separate things. Hundreds have come to try and make it to this top split today. Only the elite have survived, but that's only the first race. We've got 500 miles to go here. Anything can happen, Will. We've seen it every year, and I expect nothing less this year.
Well, we talk about facts of this event, and Aaron, here's something that's worth noting. We have never finished this race under yellow. This race has always finished under green, and in every single case, it has been a showcase finish, one for the ages every single year. And I think back to 2011, think back to 2012, the two distinct battles of Young-O and Tim Doyle. But then we look forward, and we've seen some fantastic battles over the years. And it's a case of you've got to make sure you position your car, position your drivers in position to get themselves to lap number 190. Because we expect a caution around lap 190. And then be good to go at the end.
Yeah, you are looking for that late caution, and this race, you do a 200-mile race, the pit strategy is going to be pretty straightforward. This, even though it's an oval, you almost work it like a road race, working backwards. You got to be aware of, okay, if I pit on lap 130, am I going to make it to that magical window of that lap 165 to 168 thing? But this race traditionally has had a couple late race yellows, but the two most recent 500s we have done, you and I will, have had over 100 lap green flag runs. If you miss your strategy up and you pit off cycle, you're taking the gamble, and if the gamble doesn't pay off, you may end up a lap down, and if you get that 100-lap run, very difficult to be a factor at the end.
Yeah, and Aaron, that is one thing worth noting. Long green flag runs means pit stops under green, and we have seen people have their heart breaking. I go back to John Paws like a couple of years ago. He was one of the hot favourites at lap 100. One messed up pit stop, boom, it's over.
And we see that each and every year, whether it is on Memorial Day weekend or this race where you come in a little bit hot, lock the rear tires up, you go into the inside or outside wall, one speeding penalty, all that track position that you fought for, gone. Pit exit, very difficult. We are going to talk about that diabolical bump coming out of the pits. If you are in the middle of a gear shift when you hit that bump, very easy to snap spin. So many factors, and that is what makes this event so difficult to win. I think you and I could probably name 50 drivers that could win this race that may never get the chance, because you have to, well, the 2011 ABC intro for the Indy 500 says that Indy, she has a say in who wins it, and that is very much true. You can have a perfect day, but if the track isn't on your side, you don't have a chance.
That is completely true. And actually, Paul, there's one thing worth mentioning. Those marbles on a long green flag run means if you step into the grey, you are in a world of difficulty, especially down at that fabled turn number 1. Get into the grey, it's game over. It's as simple as, and you can't even get on the brake. That car, as soon as it stops turning, you're into the wall.
Oh, that's absolutely true. You know, the marbles, And as the race goes on, the longer the green flag sessions go, so if we get a long green flag session, it's just going to get worse and worse. And you hit it absolutely on the head. You step out of line just a half a car length, you get into those marbles, there is absolutely nothing you can do. That car is gone, and all you can do is ride it into the wall and hope nobody else gets hurt.
So, we are about 10 minutes away from figuring out who is going to be running in this event. Drivers have qualified all week, and Paul, it is worth mentioning that qualifying, it is the hardest thing to do, arguably on iRacing. Yeah, you can do laps at the Nordschleife, but actually, it's really, really hard to do 4 laps at Indy. It's easy to do 4 laps of Indy 2 seconds off the pace, but when you're fighting to get yourselves into that magical top 33, every single 1,000th of a second all of a sudden becomes a factor. That means every mile an hour from pit exit all the way down to the end of lap number 4 is a factor. That means steering input, gear shifts, acceleration points is everything.
And you look at the results of qualifying and how close and tight these guys are in this qualifying event. You are talking about driving an Indy car with everything hung out, every possible inch of track used. You have to be absolutely inch, centimeter perfect to get the laps that we've seen in the qualifying results for these guys at this particular moment. Fastest one, I believe, trying to get them up here now, I think it was Treno, he's 39.295. But you look at the vast number of guys in the 0.3s, the 0.3 of a second, 39.3, they're all very tightly bunched. And you consider putting together 10 miles at 225 plus miles an hour around this track, having to be just absolutely precise. You can imagine how hard these guys have worked just to get here. And now, now that they've done this, now we were looking at another another thing altogether. The car behaves very, very differently in the draft than it does in clean air. The winner is going to be the guy who can manage his car the best, manage his tires the best, manage the aerodynamic changes the best, and keep up with the track.
We've actually got the guy who will be bringing the field to the green here today, Brandon Treno for Team Broken Arrow, and it's almost there. A bit of a cool incident there that we've got one of your cars on the banner for this event, and of course, Brandon, you will be bringing the field to green here. It is looking to be a great race, but Paul just made a big point. Qualifying is one thing, racing is another. Do you want to lead this race from the front?
Yeah, we found that the draft aero push is a lot more of a pain in the butt this year than it was last year, so we're going to try to stay out front and keep air on the nose. We ran the race last night and found that the downforce really doesn't do anything, so we're just going to work on trying to stay out front, keep the nose clean, and hopefully bring them the win.
Well, we have to go to ask you a question. Have you won a Saturday edition before?
No, but I'm hoping to change that today.
we were wondering, but of course, you've won a big race Indy 500 before. It's actually been broadcast on RaceSpotTV. But the pressures of the last 10 laps, very quickly, we've only got a couple of seconds, tell us just how nerve-wracking it is when you're there in the mix. Because you had a fight for the ages in Nefriag and Tim Holgate a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that race itself was just an insane battle to the end. I'm glad we came out with them in that one. But yeah, the last 10 laps, if it's kind of like that this year, there's no telling who's going to win just because of the toe you get and the slingshot. It's definitely going to be an interesting finish.
Well, thank you very much there, Brandon Treno for Team Broken Arrow. We have got 30 seconds. Brandon Trost looking to run in the 500. Trost, very quickly, it's the biggest event in sim racing. What's your thought heading into the event?
Well, our plan right now is just to be careful, stay in the back, and just hang on with the leaders. We got no really good plan right now because we're not out front. We're not going to have the clean air like Treno's going to have.
Well, good luck in this event. Brandon Treno there, hoping to run in another version of the Indy 500. Actually, he's a driver to think about winning. 2-3 years ago, we would never have said that, but he's been fantastic at Indy in recent years.
Absolutely. You go back 2 and 3 years ago, and Most of the competitors, if they got around him, got very nervous. But in the 16th Street Series last season, well, he and Holgate at Pocono swapped the lead every lap, side by side. So the competitors are feeling more confident. But I like what we just heard. We heard two different strategies. And the thing about Indy, both strategies can work. Go back, I believe it was last year, John Paquin had it's clearly perhaps the best car we have seen anybody have at Indy. 30 laps into the race, 5-second lead, got tangled with a lap car. So that's a thing that if you are going to trim your car out, if you do get lap traffic, just how well will that car work? We've seen that time and time again where the pole sitter's car, as soon as they get back in the pack, cannot get back through. So multiple strategies, and this is going to get good, Will.
Indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a moment to step aside then. Get ourselves ready for this fantastic, absolutely fantastic motor race, which is the 7th edition of the iRacing Indianapolis 500. Before we do so, I want to go back a year. I want to go back a year to about now. I want to talk about James Hinchcliffe. Roll VT.
I was on a practice run, and I started the lap right behind Montoya. I was gapped very well to get a good toe lap. A little bit after the start-finish line to start that lap, everything just kind of goes blank. They told me that I probably wouldn't walk for about 2 weeks. I would be in hospital about a month. And I wouldn't drive a car for 6 or 7 months. I walked on day 4. I got out of the hospital on day 10. And 4 months later, I drove a race car. The only question at that point is, mentally, are you still able to do it at that level? And that was a really hard, sort of counterintuitive thing for me to process. It wasn't a question of if or, what I want to or what I'd be able to.
Physically, how do you feel heading into 2016?
Would I still be able to race against Scott Dixon's and Ryan Hunter-Reay's and Helio Castroneves? Is that the level I'll still be able to perform at? It's relatively easy to drive an Indy car at 95%. But at 95%, you're going to finish last.
And this was another scary crash at the Speedway today during practice this afternoon.
Significant injury to his upper thigh.
Hinchcliffe lost control of his car
in a horrible crash this afternoon.
The outside wall in turn 3 had to be rushed to the hospital.
And when I hit the wall, I hit with 126 Gs. It was the largest impact ever recorded in IndyCar history. It was a sudden failure. In the middle of the corner, it was the right front rocker. And instead of braking, the piece shot straight through the car and straight through my body. And it went through me at a 45-ish degree angle and came out my left upper thigh. And it struck my femoral artery on my left side on the way through. When I woke up, my third question was, when can I get back in a race car? I've pushed myself hard to get where I am and to do what I do. You have to. But I pushed myself so much further and so much harder. So much more about what I'm capable of, mentally and physically, has made me a stronger person in every conceivable way. because for whatever reason, racing drivers are just wired differently. That's how you gain an advantage. That's how I'm wired. This is why I'm here, is to do this. Proving that you can beat the other guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, in 8 days' time, don't forget the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500 will be on ABC, on Watch ESPN in America. We'll be live on BT Sport in the United Kingdom, and it'll be available on the ESPN player throughout the world. Welcome then, ladies and gentlemen, to this, the 7th annual iRacing Indianapolis 500. We are back home again in Indiana. Let's have a look at your starting grid for this motor race. As we said, Brandon Traino will be bringing the field to the green flag here today. A 4-lap average of 39.296, the only driver to break into the 39.2s. Christopher Demerit, 4 1,000ths of a second back. He's on the outside of row number 1. Jeff Drake, what a qualifying by him in 3rd, and Chad Simpson in P number 4. Cycle on back. There you can see Christian Steele, Ryan Norton, row number 3 and row number 4. Paul, they are 2 rows you have to watch here.
You know, anything back there is definitely going to be action. Ryan Norton's going to want to try and get up to the front as soon as he can. Trying to drive in traffic this early in the race is difficult. So he's going to try and make his move early, try to get towards the front, get into a safe zone, and just follow Brandon around for most of the race.
Well, you can see there, you've got Ray Alfaro, driver in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, a champion, multiple-time champion in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. He is in P number 9. Talk about Jonathan Goke in a couple of minutes' time. You've got Rick Music there. He's always a driver who's looking to do well. Tim Holgate, a former winner of this event, in P number 18. Jimmy Swimbanks, he won the rookie race back in 2012. He's our Australian driver in P17. You've got ourselves a fantastic field. We saw there a Brazilian driver running himself in P20. We've got Tiam Hausa in number 21. And we've got ourselves some great drivers here. Porzek, of course, he had incidents a couple of years ago on pit road. We'll think about him. You've got yourself Alex Simpson. He drives in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. He lines up in P number 26. Brendan Luxembourg, he's great here as well. Cycle on back, you can see there. Randy Crosno down in P number 31. He always has bad luck at Indy. Perhaps being at the rear of the field may do well for him. And Gorg Newjok's there. Rounds out your 33 car field. So, this is what we're dealing with for the race here today. We are looking at going a total of 200 laps here. Yeah, it's 4 kilometers if you're going to do that. That's 2.5 miles. Track temp is 78 degrees. It's 55% race relative humidity and a 3-kilometer-hour wind to the north here today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it wouldn't be Indy without pre-race festivities. So, we're going to step aside. I think it's time for the playing of the American National Anthem. the Star-Spangled Banner here on RaceSpotTV, as well. It really wouldn't be Indy, Aaron, unless we had Indiana's basically favorite friend.
And that the truth, greatly missed at the race last year. Of course, final year 2 years ago, but in this world of sim racing, well, the tradition can live on.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it means one thing. It's our good friend, Mr. Jim Neighbors, with back home again in Indiana.
Back home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see the gleaming candlelight still burning bright through the sycamores for me. The new moon haze sends all its fragrance through the fields I used to roam. When I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash, how I long for my Indiana home.
Our good friend, Mr. Jim Neighbors, then. We are 3 minutes away, then, from the command to start engines here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is the greatest spectacle in all of sim racing. I have the opportunity to ask you two this, and Paul, I'll start with you. Are we going to see a repeat winner? And who will win this year's edition of the Indy 500?
Always the $6 million question, Will, but I see a lot of guys that have a great potential to win this. In the last few events, Ryan Norton has always been a very big threat. You can't discount Brendan Traino. As long as he can keep clean, keep it out front, and stay out of trouble, I think we're going to see good things from him. Of course, John Goke is always one that's very quick. But I think if I had to pick somebody, I think I would put my money on Ryan. But again, it's anybody's game.
Aaron?
I'm going to say no on the repeat winner. Track position, I think, is going to be vital today. The wind, only 2 miles an hour. That doesn't sound like much, but typically we talk about turn 1 being the trouble spot. I think watch for turn 2 as the car comes out of 2. It's going to catch that crosswind just a little bit. Drivers aren't used to that. Usually the winds are coming out of the west, making turn 2 not as difficult. 2 miles an hour, not that much. So if you're in the middle of the pack, going to be very easy to get caught up in somebody's other issue. Winning, well, I'm going to go with Matt Pavelski. Had an excellent season last year in the 16th Street League, so I'm going to go Matt Pavelski from P7.
Well, I never pick winners. But if I did, I will say one thing. It's going to be a fantastic race. That is the most important thing of the lot. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are 1 minute away. And if you're not already ready in your race car, drivers, to your cars. Drivers, to your cars. As here we are then. 1 minute, 45 seconds now left of practice. And then we are ready to get this show on the road. We run ourselves a competition here on iRacing over the last week, giving ourselves the opportunity for a driver on iRacing to give the starting command for this event. And it's worth noting, actually, the one that we've selected actually is a member of the US military. So, of course, next weekend, Memorial Day weekend, is significant for him and his family as an active serviceman. And of course, we thank all servicemen for what they do here on behalf of iRacing. However, to give the starting command for the 2016 iRacing Indianapolis 500, we would like to turn our attention to driver in this event, Jonathan Goke, for the most famous words in motorsports, and it's time to finally get this show on the road. The command to start engines.
iRacers, start your engines!
From the US Air Force, Jonathan Goke with the command to start engines. That means it's time to think about going racing. There is your grid up on your screen one more time as we'll show it to you now. Brandon Traynor starting on the front row of this grid. Demerit alongside him, Jeff Drake in third, Chad Simpson in fourth. And Aaron, you made one very useful point. This entire field is separated by something like 16 1/100ths of a second.
And that being so, getting through the field is going to be very difficult. But the thing to watch for early on, and I think I said this earlier, so often we see cars that qualify up front don't have the ability to run in dirty air. So the second they get into a battle, the second they get a car in front of them, they fall through the field. So don't be surprised to see somebody that started in 20 or 30th work their way up. Anybody in this race today, as the grid starts to roll, anybody that starts this race can win this race.
Yep, there's your field. 33 drivers getting ready to do battle on this racetrack, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It is that track that we talk about so often, that we love so much. And yet, we are back home again, one more time in Indiana. And of course, don't forget, the 100th edition of the Indianapolis 500 will be on ABC. It'll be a special presentation of ESPN on ABC. You can also view it on Watch ESPN. And of course, the race is at 12 noon next Sunday. And of course, as well, if you're an international viewer, you can catch it on BT Sport in the United Kingdom. You can catch it on the ESPN player or your local service provider worldwide. The guys then are on track. You're on board here today. Brandon Traynor from pole position, number 7 machine. We've got ourselves Mr. Yeah, that's right. NASCAR Peak Annie Freeze, Ray Alfaro in the number 1 machine. We've got Rick Music. He's one to keep an eye out on in that number 24 machine. Tim Holgate, the number 11 machine. And then down at the rear of your field, you've got yourself Gorgon Ujox starting P number 33. Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen, for the greatest spectacle in sim racing? The cars work themselves now through the short chute. Turn number 3 and 4. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, the talking stops now. It is time to go racing in this, the greatest spectacle in sim racing, pace car then. On towards pit road, the 7th annual edition of the iRacing Indianapolis 500 will start now. As the green flag is in air, then the cars will come down in towards turn number 1 for the first time. Question number 1, will they all survive turn number 1, lap number 1? We're about to find that one out, as Aaron, they're all through 1, they're all going to be through turn number 2.
And Demerit's going to look to the inside. Traynor clipped the curb a little bit, or the apron, and we maybe 3 wide thinks better of it. Third place does. Demerit on the outside. Drake tucked up there. We're going to go side by side into 3.
Well, there we are. It's going to be Brandon Traynor holding on to the race lead for the time being, but they're mighty, mighty close there inside your top 10. They're going to complete lap number 1, and well, Paul, everyone's through the first hurdle of this motor race.
Absolutely, but now we've got quite a race going on ahead. Looks like Chris Demerit's going to try and take Brandon Traynor on the inside here, see if he can make a stick. Meanwhile, Chad Simpson looks like he's going to try Drake. So we're 2 wide through turn 2 over here in the front.
Yeah, there we are on board there with Jeff Drake in that number 21 machine. And he is now down into P number 4. But Traynor holds on from Christopher Demerit. And you see 3 wide there, Daniel Pag. That one there, was that the driver of Joshua Chin? And no, it wasn't. It's just ahead, actually. It was Matt Pavelski there in that mix. But there's a lot of guys right now scrapping it out very close together. And they're all really trying to get themselves momentum at the start of this motor race. 2 laps now, scored complete, side by side there for some of these drivers down in your pack, and Traynor fast lap of the motor race from the front. Here we are through turn number 2, lap number 3 in this event. And there you can see Joshua Chin. He's working himself side by side right now with Ray Alfaro, actually. And a good little scrap there going on. We're on board then with the driver of Joshua Chin. And it's actually behind. You've got yourself Ray Alfaro, Nigel Wanif there, all scrapping it out for position. They work themselves then on the exit of turn number 4. And Aaron, we've got ourselves a clean start, but now you've got to settle into your rhythm. We heard about the wind earlier on here today. It doesn't seem like much, but it is a lot, and there is one driver on the move. He said he's going to be laying back, and he's not. It's Brandon Trost. He's up already 2 positions in his motor race, and he's looking to try and get past Joshua Chin.
Yeah, that's one thing. You can go into a race having a strategy, going, yeah, I'm going to lay back, not going to try anything, but motors start up, the race begins, and yeah, what you planned before goes out the window. Trost going to look to the inside. That would have no way to make that move, and got to be careful when you early turn in like that. You scrub some speed. That allowed Ray to pull up just a little bit. Perhaps Trost was trying to seek some clean air on entry. Going to use the toe, pop out right there. Going to go to the inside, and well, you can see the different aerodynamics there. Obviously, Chin is a little bit trimmed out because I would have thought Trost would have had the momentum. So Trost may have brushed the wall there. It came very close, but obviously right there, well, we can see the different aerodynamic packages that are in play today.
Yeah, indeed. And we also saw there Jonathan Goke working himself past Ray Alfaro. So now Goke is up into the top 10. So having a look from the rear of Austin SPT to Jack Keithley as it stands right now. Good, worth noting, we've got one driver who is well down the field, and that is Marco Aurelio Brazil, the Vortex Sim Racing driver, unfortunately, down in P number 33, and currently classified as 14 seconds behind anyone.
Yeah, Marco had some troubles getting the car started. Had to start the race from the pit, so as the field went by, he was just coming out of the pit. So he's got a lot of work to do. Marco, of course, praying for a yellow at this point just to catch up the trouble.
Brandon Trost clipped Joshua Chin in turn 2. That could have taken out half the field. I don't know how Chin kept that car pointed the right direction. That was in turn 2. Well, very close, and Chin may have some rear damage as he loses 2 spots, 1 to Trost, and Jonathan Goke says thank you very much and passes both of them.
Yeah, it was a 2-for-1 special there for Goke. He's now up into P number 8. There you can see Jonathan Goke in that number 3 machine as he heads himself down in towards turn 1. Goke is on the move early in this motor race, now up 5 places here today, Paul.
Jonathan Goke, the guy on the move, definitely wants to try and get up early. Joshua Chin trying to feel out what's going on with his car, but not a lot of time to really kind of feel it out. He's under heavy attack from Ray Alfaro. Has been trying to find a way around him, but Ray is a very smart, very wise driver. He's not going to try and push the issue, but right behind him looks like Nigel Manif has taken over Espity here and has moved him around the other way around, rather. Espity took over Nigel and moved on to 12th. So some movement in the back here. Looks like Alfaro was thinking about it, but it looks like maybe Chin's car is okay. He got away with it, and it's back to speed for him.
Well, what you want to do in those circumstances is Jonathan Goke just sets the fastest lap of the motor race so far. What you want to do in those circumstances when you have yourself a near miss, it's take a deep breath, Paul. Just take a moment to regroup, and momentum is such an important factor here today. You don't want to push it too hard. Just want to let those tyres cool down a little bit. Get your mental head back in the game, and then push again. I think that's what Chin did. Running in P number 10 right now. As to give you an update, Brandon Traynor has led every single lap of this motor race.
And a commanding drive so far from Trano. Looks like Tim Holgate took over Jack Keithley for 14th. So Tim Holgate trying to make some endways here. Meyer deep in the field, though, and the front of the pack is starting to walk away here. Front of the pack running times in 40.626. About what we'd expect about this time in the race. Not too crazy right now. These guys still pretty full on fuel. And it's settling into a rhythm at this point. So we're to the point now where these guys are going to start thinking about strategy, trying to keep the car under them, and the ubiquitous first half of the race to survive.
Yep, Austin Espity looking down to the inside then of Joshua Chin. You are right, actually. Chin's car does seem to be very trimmed out. On the high line there, he does lose a little bit of grip. Espity will go past, but Chin's car, you are right, Aaron, does seem to be very trimmed out because actually, when he got towards the entry for turn number 3, Espity pulled alongside, and actually Chin started to actually have better speed on the run into the corner.
And that is, if Chin gets out front, this field needs to be worried. But the downside of when you trim your car out is you have nothing in dirty air. So I expect when Espity pulls away a little bit, Chin well, this is really where the draft is going to count against you. He's really towing these other cars around him, but as soon as they get in front of him, he's got nothing, as now he has, well, this isn't an intimidating bunch. Nigel Murnif and Tim Holgate behind him, both trying to become repeat winners, but for Chin right now, first pit stop may be critical as Murnif pops to the inside, and if you want to pass Chin, you are going to have to build up a lot of momentum unless your car too is running very low downforce.
Well, Murnif made it look easy there, it seemed, in that number 4 Club Benelux machine as they'll come down the back straight away once again, the run down toward turn number 3 and 4. It is worth noting, as we said, that Jonathan Goat has now moved up into P number 7 this event. Matt Pavelski with Ryan Norton, that Rockstar machine, right on the coattails of Ryan Norton. These two drivers are still in draft range, Paul, but they're about a half a second back from demerit. One of the reasons why they might be doing this is to just try to preserve their tyres in the early stage of this event.
Yeah, nobody needs to be in a real big hurry right now. If you lose the draft, it's not a huge deal like it would be later on in the race. These guys really, at this point, it's about preservation, trying to make the car last, feel what the car is going to do. You know, this may be the first time these guys have really gotten into some seriously heavy traffic here. Practice is one thing, but in the race, the car just seems to handle a little bit differently. Maybe some of it might be psychosomatic, some of it might actually just be the car, but, you know, your nerves are starting to settle down now. You're being amped up from the start. You're starting to get a little clearer head now, and starting to think about the long term. So you don't really want to try and push the issue, as I see Rafaela pushing the issue and trying to take a 2-for-1 deal and gets around both Prost and Steele in a run and takes their 8th place in a quick run there.
That was nice and easy, actually, when we put it all together. And, well, as it stands right now, we've got trouble almost on the racetrack, Paul.
Well, it was Ray Alfala darn near clipped the outside of turn 2 on his way around. He kind of took evasive action, presses on, but his heart rate probably doubled.
I have to think something, Will. That was a little too easy, of Trost getting past. He had 4 or 5 car lengths coming off of turn 4, and he slowed down on the straightaway. Now, Trost, the past season and a half or so, has been the master of just some really odd strategy. So I have to wonder if he actually wanted a car in front of him, perhaps wanted to tow him up front. Maybe he's running low downforce, or already playing the field game. But I think that getting past, I think, was by design.
And it is worth noting, Aaron, that you always count backwards from lap 200.
And it is never too early to start thinking about fuel mileage, especially with the caliber of drivers we have today. I know audience, commentators curse, but with the quality of audience we have today, don't be surprised if we see 100 or more laps run consecutively. I'm not going to say what could happen, but don't be surprised to see 100 or more laps ran, and if you can stay out that 1 or 2 extra laps each time, well, you may get away with not having to pit one time, and that can be the difference maker. Even if you're 20, 30 seconds behind the lead, you could be in contention.
Christian Steele alongside the number 13 machine of Osman Espati. Well, Espati got past into 1 and 2. Steele says, hey, I want that position back, and he does that in towards 3 and 4, Paul.
These guys are not giving up much here. Espati not very much, or rather Steele not very much appreciating that move. Put it right back to Espati. Problem is, when you're doing this, and here comes Espati again, he's still not done. He might actually have help this time, though, in the form of Nigel Murnif coming up behind, or rather Tim Holgate coming up behind. No, that is Nigel Murnif. I haven't seen these paint schemes in so long, so it take me like 30 laps to figure these guys out. But you know, this give and take. The problem with this at this point is while you're having that back and forth, the guys in front of you are leaving. Again, not a huge deal, but you don't want to try and fall too far behind, or you might find yourself in a little bit of trouble. And as Aaron was talking about too, with fuel mileage, even if this race goes green the entire way, fuel mileage still makes a difference. Every gallon of fuel you take in pit lane is time, and a second on the track is 100 yards, or a second in the pits is 100 yards on the track at 220 miles an hour. These guys are moving awfully fast, so every bit of seconds you can save yourself in the pits translates to position on the track.
We've got ourselves a 4-car breakaway right now. There you can see Jeff Drake. He's running himself in P number 5. And while Drake is now 1.1 seconds behind Ryan Norton, he's actually down 2 places from where he started. But, well, if you're Jeff Drake, actually, Aaron, you'd be thinking, that's not a bad first 17 laps of this motor race, because, as I say, this is a much higher qualifying position than we might have expected from him. And the fact that he's still, you know, keeping some ground to people. He might be caught by Chad Simpson soon enough, but he's holding his own right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Anytime you're running the top 5 in this race, it's a good thing. Of course, qualified 3rd, but one thing you got to watch out for, and it's a little bit early for this, but right now he's sort of on an island. It's 1.2 seconds to the car in front, 0.8 to the second to the car behind, but this is the danger zone as a driver. When you are in a constant battle, you do have that adrenaline. You are hyper-focusing on what you're doing. When you're running by yourself, even if it's in 5th, it is very easy to miss your marks. Just a momentary lapse in concentration, and that's all it takes in turn 1. So, good running so far. Yes, not taking that away, but if you are running by yourself for a prolonged amount of time, it is very easy to let your concentration lapse. So, having Chad Simpson get a little bit closer might not necessarily be the worst thing in the world.
Yep. Hi, everyone. I'm Scott Goodyear. It's time to talk about weight jackers and anti-roll bars. Of course, these cars will have themselves a weight jacker, which they can use throughout the course of this motor. So think of it as a lever in the car, which you basically can increase the weight jacker, and what it'll do is it'll raise the right rear of the car. If you lower it, it'll lower the right rear of the car, and the purpose of doing that is to either increase or decrease how loose that car is. So you can see it there on Brandon Trost's car as we're riding ourselves on board of him. You've also then got 2 other levers. They are for the anti-roll bars. You can firmen or loosen, stiffen or loosen even, your anti-roll bars in both the front and the rear. And each of these 3 elements, Paul, are vital throughout the course of motor racing. Well, some will use more than others, but the weight jacker can be used for running in traffic. The anti-roll bars is a very useful tool to keep that car the way you want it to be handling throughout the course of a run.
Absolutely, and as tire wear, as the tires wear in, the track temperature goes up. You are going to have to make adjustments to the car, both in the pits and on the track. And you know the cars are very, very dynamic, so they will change every lap as the fuel burns off. The cars will tend to get looser, by and large. So you'll want to make adjustments to ensure that you keep the car in balance. If you let the car get too far out of balance, you're going to start abusing one of those tires, usually the right rear. The car's just going to get looser and looser and more unmanageable. And you don't want to see that happen, especially when you're in traffic. So these guys are definitely working the in-car tools as they're driving around, as their position on the track changes, as they get into clear air or dirty air, and are constantly thinking about what can they do to make the car faster or more stable.
Ryan Norton has lost your lead trio, Aaron. He has lost your lead trio. He's now a second almost behind Matt Pavelski. And well, we're into that range. Say goodbye to the draft. And Norton really did push that last lap. But what he did, he just got himself a little bit loose through the central turn number 2. That cost him a 1/10.5 of a second. And from now, he's heading on back.
Yeah, I don't want to make a NASCAR comparison, but 2 cars do run faster than 1, and once you do lose that draft, your car may alone be just as fast as the cars in front, but the cars running together do help each other, and once you lose that draft, I guess, using that island metaphor again, you get stuck on an island between 2 cars, and sometimes it is better to drop back and pick up another car, because the 2 of you can run faster. Now, that depends on if the car behind you, how well their aero package is through the corner. You do need to be able to maintain being close through the corners. Not every car can do that. Perhaps Norton's car was a little trimmed out too much, which further enunciated that losing the draft. Still 1.1 seconds to Pavelski in front, 1.8 seconds to Drake behind, so not in any danger of losing 4th at the moment, and on top of that, you can easily make up a second or more in the pits as that time by loses another 10th to the race leader, but no time to panic right now. In the pits, he can easily gain time.
We have had our first retiree of the day. That is Sander Nijhoff there in the number 18 machine. Technical issues for him, and it means we're now down to 32 cars, of which all 32 are on the lead lap as it stands. Marco Brazil, by the way, just to give you an update, he is still on the lead lap. He's 28 seconds though behind your race leader. It's this guy. It's Brandon Trano. Let's ride a lap on board of him, Paul. Talk us through it.
Well, Brandon Trano just coming into this turn 1 here, and turn 1 always used to be the tricky one with the shadow, and you cannot see through that turn. But here, turn 2 is actually the one that's been getting guys all week long. Just with a little bit of wind, it's a difficult picture to see there. And when you're trying to get through there, it can be kind of treacherous. Now hurtling on to turn 3, this is generally the easier of the turns, but not lately. Again, with that wind, the car has a tendency to push out to that outside wall. You see Traino using every inch of that track there just to get around. And then turn 4, and then straight down the front stretch here, hurtling towards that yard of bricks, and the familiar snap of going over it, and that'll complete lap number 27 or 26.
25.
25, one of those laps.
We're 1/8 of the way then through this, the iRacing Indianapolis 500, the 7th edition. Pit stops are coming soon. Let's take your RaceSpotTV side by side. We're back in just one moment.
These are the moments that define champions. Finding calm amongst chaos. Focus amongst distraction. Channeling nerves into confidence. Fear is not an option. Failure is the enemy. Do you have what it takes? Tighten your belts. Shut your visor. The battle begins now.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, of course, if you're after qualifications for the Indy 500, that will continue on IndyCar.com, on the ESPN family of networks, including ABC as well. Of course, today, Aaron, they are looking to get themselves in the field. They'll all, of course, make the field, 33 drivers, 43 positions. But today, they're also looking to get themselves into the top 9. Get yourself into the P9 in qualifying here today, and you'll have this opportunity to then go to the Fast 9 session tomorrow to then get yourself the Verizon P1 award and the shot of leading the field to the green flag as Alfada's on pit road.
Yeah, early pit stops here, but I think qualifying and Stefan Remedy is coming out of the pits, and actually Sander Nyhoff has rejoined the race, so all runners are currently, or all entrants are running, but from observing practice on Thursday, well, I can tell you that you are going to want to be up front. Once you get 3 or 4 cars in front of you, it is going to be hard to make position. So you're going to want to be in that top 9. Well, every driver wants to lead the Indy 500 to the green as Brandon Traino, our race leader, on the pit road.
Yeah, Ray Alfada, by the way, just overshot his pit stop. Now, that's not much at this stage of the game. A second is, a bit, but not the end of the day. But Brandon Traino then coming on towards pit road. We've got ourselves a couple of other drivers on pit road. I think that's also the number 3 machine on pit road of Jonathan Goke. So there you can see the number 7 car coming in towards his pit stall, and he's going to come in. He's going to take 4 tires, get himself topped up with fuel, and they'll be back out and away once again. Jonathan Goke doing exactly the same thing. Now, some of these guys wouldn't have put 22 gallons of fuel in their tank, whatever, because of the fact they thought that maybe there'll be an early caution. Wanted to be a little bit faster at the start of this motor race, and you can see out and away there, but 11.0 seconds for the driver of Brandon Traino. James Swinbank's out in 9.7 seconds, and it's out and away in 10.2 for Goke. So actually, that was a slow stop for Brandon Traino. That may well cost him the race lead there.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was a pretty lethargic stop for Brandon Traino. 36.3 seconds on pit road and 11 seconds. Jonathan Goke fully over a second, 1.2 seconds faster on pit road than Brandon Traino. So when this all sorts out, it'll be interesting to see if Brandon Traino's still in the lead. I doubt it.
Well, here comes Christopher Demerit then, lap number 31 or 200. A lot of guys on pit road. We expect Demerit in, and he is in. Let's listen in. Aggressive. That was an aggressive pit entry. That was perfect pit entry there for Christopher Demerit. If you want to know how good it was for some of these other drivers, we'll tell you in just 1 second. But Demerit is on pit road. Tim Holgate takes over the lead of this motor race. His in-lap was a 51.0. That's a benchmark that I think we need to keep an eye out on for the time. Big caution! Yellow flag on track!
And it's going to be
this is horrible.
in turn 1. It's Stefan Remedy. So Stefan Remedy is going to bring out our first caution. And, well, contact was the cause of it. 2 cars entering turn 1. And that's Kevin Ellis Jr. That Stefan dove to the inside rather late. The 2 of them touch. Ellis keeps going. Stefan Remedy's race is over.
It's also worth noting we just saw the back end of Randy Krosno on pit road. His Indianapolis woes continue. Let's get ourselves then another look at this one. This actually will hurt the driver potentially of Tim Holgate. We're going to figure it out, and there we can see then you had yourself the number 5 machine and the number 26 machine coming together. Remedy being turned around, and well, Remedy into the wall. His day is going to be done. I want to show you one other thing as well. We're going to slow on pit road, and here you can see Randy Krosno. We're on board of him, tries to slow it on down in towards pit road, and what happens to Randy Krosno? That I think he might have actually, with that caution coming out, I think Krosno might have overshot his pit stall. Oh no, he slid something. Randy Krosno just overshooting his pit stall. You get the command that, you know, the caution is out, and all of a sudden it all went wrong for Randy Krosno on pit road. Thankfully, Paul, it was under caution, so it's not the end of the world for him, as Tim Holgate is saving fuel here. He's saving a lot of fuel. Monica Clara Brand did this in 2011, but Tim Holgate is coasting on towards pit road using that access lane. If you're any of these other guys, Nigel Marneef especially, you've got to be careful here, because you cannot pass Tim Holgate. And while Holgate right now, 76 miles an hour.
Chen.
And
Ben, I think he ran out of fuel.
Well, he may have.
Yes. So, and
wow.
Oh, that's.
And this is the pitfall of a yellow coming out right in your fuel window. You cannot come into the pits when the yellow comes out. You have to wait until all the cars are behind the pace car, and if you are right on the cusp, you can run out of fuel, and that's kind of, I think that may be what happened here. You know, I want to take you back also when we look at that replay of Kevin Ellis. You want to talk about some amazing driving. That car was so completely sideways, and for him to be able to save that car, that's amazing.
Yep, pit stop time there for Tim Holgate. He's in. There you can see the jacks are dropped, and he's out and away in 10.4 seconds. So Demerit does take over the lead of this motor race from Brandon Traino. So we now technically have had 3 different leaders in this motor race so far. Tim Holgate comes out, a couple of other drivers on pit road right now. You can see the driver of Nigel Marneef. He came in towards pit road under that caution in that Demidoff machine, and well, looks as though he will come out in a net P7 or thereabouts. But Christopher Demerit, we talked about that pit stop time, and actually that pit stop time proved to be very critical, Paul, for Brandon Traino. He has lost the race lead. I say he's lost the race lead, actually. Demerit did an 11.1 as well.
Well, yeah, but under different circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I think that really did cost Traino that slow stop. You want to be careful getting into the pits, obviously, but you've got to balance that with not losing too much time. I mean, I've been a victim of this myself, where you try to balance. You don't want to overburn in the pits, because nothing's more embarrassing than ending your race trying to get into the pits and wiping out. And these cars are so completely trimmed out. It's so easy to do. The tires are worn. The cars are light on fuel. You probably have your weight jacker and bars all set up for turning. So when you go for those brakes, that car does some very unpredictable things if you're not prepared for it. So some of these guys might be light-footing it into the pits, and you know that's not always the answer. You got to be very careful with that.
John Porzak just light-footed it majorly. He was out of fuel, just barely made it into his pit stall. I think he is going to lose a lap here, but he did painfully coast at about 15 miles an hour into his pit stall.
A couple of drivers have got themselves a wave round. They are James Swinbanks, TM Hauser, Kevin Ellis Jr., Alex Simpson, Randy Krosno, and by the looks of it, Jack Keithley will get it as well. So a lot of drivers then being shaken up by this caution, and that means this restart is going to be very, very interesting. Here we can see then Christopher Demerit in that number 9 machine, your top 8, bottom of your screen. Demerit, Traino, Pavelski, Norton, Holgate, Marneef, Walters and Spots. That will change over the rest of this motor race, but Demerit and Traino, Pavelski and Norton, Holgate and Marneef are 6 drivers. Any one of those could win this motor race. So,
and Holgate Marneef will. It is important to note right now they have about 5 extra laps of fuel. So next cycle, keep that in mind. They're going to have a little bit more fuel and can go a considerable amount. I mean, 5 laps, that's well over 10 miles. That is a big difference in fuel. So we sort of, by the yellow, do have a split strategy going on now.
Yep. It's 12.5 miles, if you're going to be precise, of course.
Yeah.
But we do math here on RaceSpotTV. Honest, 3 lead changes so far in the day. Of course, the Merit has beaten Train out of pit road. Only other driver to lead this motor race is Tim Holgate. He came in basically under caution. It's worth noting that those 5 laps might hurt the likes of Holgate on this restart. 3 broken aero machines in your top 5 right now, looking to be the dominant team. Here we go. Green flag. Back in the air, let's go racing. One more time at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Good synchronized start then. And you got yourself there, Ryan Norton running himself very closely to the rear on Matt Pavelski as they come down in towards turn 1. Holgate was able to stick. Spots there, side by side with Jake Wright as it stands right now. A little bit side by side with Simpson and Al Fowler. Everyone making it then through 1 and 2 once again, Aaron.
And the first restart is usually the most treacherous one, as we've got 2x2 going into turn 3. Alfala to the inside of Simpson. Going around the driver of JB Masita. But that first restart, you have to remember to change those in-car tools that you talked about, the weight checker, the anti-roll bars, because as the fuel depletes, the setup changes. So that first stop, it can be easy to forget to readjust, and you're going to be set up for a fully loose car when the car is going to be tight. Oh, we've got a scrap for P8 through about 15.
We saw a change for the race lead, and actually it's worth noting the fact that they're going to get themselves a little bit of traffic right now because Traino's taken over from Christopher Demerit. But here you can see there's going to be traffic in just 1 moment's time, and this one could well be catastrophic. It is the number 17 Banshee Autosports machine there, and I believe that one is John Paulsek. He already is a lap down. He may well go down another, and well, what's going to happen here? Paulsek, we know, has speed. Thankfully, he's going to move out of the way and allow your race lead to go by. But as the field comes up behind him, you've got some fantastic scrapping going on all the way through your field right now. With Spots and Goat going it alone right now. 3 guys separated by nothing. A Vortex driver coming out of pit road as well. Down the back straight away. Oh, business has picked up here, Paul.
Well, I don't know what happened to Porzik. They got him all the way back mired there, but he has to be extremely careful now because trying to drive off your line is one thing and trying to get out of people's way. We've seen a lot of incidents happen where people are trying to get out of the way of the leaders and ended up stepping all over themselves and taking guys out. So it looks like Porzik is very smartly trying to stay on the inside, but also very smartly keeping his line through the turns. And the drivers around him understand that he can't just get out of the way in the turns. They're just going to have to show some patience.
Well, recently we've been doing a lot of GT racing here on RaceSpotTV, and the rule is very simple. Hold your line. It doesn't matter whether you're going to go high, you want to go low, you do exactly the same thing every single time to every single driver. Hold your line, as here we can see, 3 wide for a moment. They'll go 2 wide, 2 deep, like the animals, in towards turn number 3. And this one is mighty, mighty close because you've got Austin Espartee there scrapping it out with Jonathan Goat. These two have had some history in the past, Aaron, and it looks as though an old rivalry is once again renewed.
Yeah, Indy has a way, well, anytime you have a rivalry with the driver, it never fails that's going to be the driver that you're going to be racing all race long. And same thing with friends. When we get down to the final 10, as Goat got almost, I think he might have touched the grass. I don't know how he maintained that car. That car very loose, and he spins it over 2, and we have a big crash off of turn 2. Around goes Goat.
Well, you talked
Trust. Trust gets a piece.
Oh my word. Let's get a replay.
Jonathan
Second
Goat.
caution of the day. And here we're going to ride it on board with Goat from the start-finish line. Here he comes in towards turn number 1. We're going to slow it down here. And you just notice there, those left-hand wheels. It runs itself up on the curb, up on the curb, up on the curb. Just going to graze that grass for a moment. You can see he's losing a position. And then, because you've lost yourself speed, the car will behave differently in towards turn number 2. And now we'll slow that car down again. Car gets loose. Tries to correct it. Snap oversteer. into the wall. There is a Vortex driver number 27 machine involved in it as a consequence. And as it all slows down and settles down, one driver involved is Brandon Trost in that number 19 machine. Here we are on board of him. As you can see, cars spinning around in front of him. Trost is locking up the brakes, saying, "Which way are you going, buddy?" And he just gets a front wing. That's it. He doesn't get any more than that. Aaron, that's unbelievable for Trost.
A very fortunate break there. When the crash was happening, it looked to be a little bit more severe contact, but got it locked down. They'll be able to put on a new front wing. Side pod looks good, so I think he is going to be okay. And fortunate break, but for Goke, I wonder, maybe in that slide he heated up the right rear. That was odd spin, as we have everybody come on to pit road, it looks like.
No, not everyone. It's everyone but Broken Arrow are on pit road. So we've got ourselves another split strategy right now, as here you can see Tim Holgate leads the cars. He's the Pied Piper now coming down pit road, and he wants them to give himself the opportunity to maybe get some more time later on. We've got half your field in, half your field staying out, and that generally means we're in for something very, very exciting. Here's Holgate then. Here are the guys on pit road as it stands right now. We are going to step aside. We'll give you an update with what happened on pits and more after these messages. You're watching RaceSpotTV on iRacingLive. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacingLive. We've got ourselves a 1 to go sign. Then don't forget, the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing, is live. We are the home of the World Championship Series. That's all three of them: the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, and the Blancpain GT World Endurance Championships. 3 series, 1 home. RaceSpotTV, as Trano once again lead this motor race. A couple of people there came in to top off. What's worth thinking is the fact that is actually the guy of Jake Wright, who is your biggest mover in this event so far. He started P number 32, now up into P number 7. Also, Mario Orio Brazil, who started this race on pit road, is now up into P number 10. Tim Holgate, when he pitted, of course, on this split strategy, is now in P number 11. So we expect to see him move dramatically through this field. Let's then experience this restart with RaceSpotTV fan immersion as we head ourselves back to the green flag. It's the sights and sounds of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. trouble on the racetrack. Trouble on the racetrack. We go back to yellow. Paul, what happened?
I think we're looking at James Swinbanks got, we're trying to find out what exactly happened here, but he ended up sideways on the, so he hit somebody, somebody slowed down in front of him. I think that was Tanner Watkins. Tanner Watkins slowed down in front of him, and James tried to take evasive action, caught him with the right front, did a 360 and continued forward, but there may be damage to that car.
Yep, so we saw that a quick replay on board with James Swinbanks, but there's damage to the front end of that car at the very least, and well, thankfully, that's nothing worse than we could have seen that from James Swinbanks. That could have been a lot worse. We could have had a lot of drivers involved in that one, Aaron.
Yeah, restarting here when you do get an incident, the track seems plenty wide when you're running at green, but those restarts can be so tricky. Very easy to knock out 5, 6, 7 cars. As really the leader here, the leader can go from when the pace car goes to the start line. So that's a big time, and when people are trying to anticipate the start, very easy to get an incident like that. And what this yellow does, it puts the fuel window now in a very interesting mark. The 500 I mentioned earlier that went 150 something laps, we had a driver run out on the white flag lap. We are getting into that zone now where if you make a pit stop, you may be able to make one less. So if I'm in the latter third of this field, even if I just came in, I'd be pitting again.
Yep. So here we can see Brandon Traino is behind the iRacing first safety car. He's given himself a big margin here, and it looks as though he is going to stay out again. In fact, the Broken Arrow guys are all going to stay out right now. Brandon Traino, Christopher Merritt, you got Ryan Norton there in the mix as well. Looks to be a much quieter, much quieter caution here. So we'll be back in a moment.
These are the moments that define champions. Finding calm amongst chaos. Focus amongst distraction. Channeling nerves into confidence. Fear is not an option. Failure is the enemy. Do you have what it takes? Tighten your belts. Shut your visor. The battle begins now.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As we can see there, the field working themselves from the north end of the racetrack. Let's try and do it again. RaceSpotTV, fan immersion. It is Brandon Traino going to bring the field back to the green flag here. Let's experience this one again as we go back to green. Well, good restart there by all involved. We're back to green flag racing, and Aaron, good restart there.
Yeah, very clean. You don't. It's quite easy to get restart incident after restart incident after restart incident. So hopefully that's the last time the flagman has to wave the green and then immediately wave the yellow. Fierce battle for P6 right now, Will, as Bradley Walters and Austin Espity go side by side into 3, and Bradley Walters cedes the position. And when you do have a car in the inside and it's this early, that's what you want to do. If somebody's on your inside, there's really no point in really overly fighting, because as we saw earlier, you run the risk of losing the lead pack, which this lead quartet right now seems very hard to hang with.
Well, getting ourselves now close to 1/4 distance. That is 125 miles going to be in the books this time by. So, phase number 1 of this race is almost scored complete. And from now on, you got to get yourself into position. That's the next stage of this event. Bradley Walters is up 12 positions, right up 24 spots here. It's worth noting though, Paul, this split strategy is going to be a very interesting next 50 laps.
Well, the guys up front counting on just another yellow here before they run out of fuel. Otherwise, they're going to get shuffled back. But again, as you said at the beginning of the race, count backwards. And these guys are doing just that. They're banking that they're going to be there at the end. And usually pretty right. These guys have done a lot of these Indy cars up in front and have pretty good strategies. So it'll be interesting to see if their gamble pays off or not. Pays off, too, to note that for a second time at the restart, Demerit made a quick move on Brendan Traino, and then in the next lap, Traino drove right back around him. So it appears really that at least Demerit can get the jump on Traino, but Traino's got the faster car, and you can see he's really putting some distance now between himself and Demerit.
Yep, as you just see there, some of the field working through. And actually, talk about flagmans, of course, you had the opportunity of a lifetime here, mate. Talk us through it.
Yeah, for Thursday's practice, I ended up as one of the assistant starters for practice, which 24 hours before Thursday, it wasn't even a thing, wasn't even an idea. I was working the USAC Purdue EV Grand Prix, which was taking place behind the suites in Turn 4, and ended up, which I was honorary starter for a day of practice in 2013, and was asked, hey, have you ever been in the stand while the track is hot? I said no. One thing led to another, and I ended up in the flag stand for practice, which you were right, you said opportunity of a lifetime. I could try to describe what it was. I've been flagging for 21 years, and first time I threw the green up there, I was fighting back emotions for sure.
FYI, I'm very, very jealous of you.
It's it's something it's something that very few people have been able to do. IndyCar does not use that many people in the stand, so it would be close on just how many people have won the 500 and how many people have actually thrown the checkered at Indy. Both are very, very low numbers, and I am extremely grateful for the opportunity, and definitely the highlight of my life.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Brian Simpson, Mike Kitchell over at IndyCar for their support of this event. Thanks very much to IndyCar for giving us a shout out on Twitter a little bit earlier on. Want to give a shout out to Sophie as well, because I can, as here we can see then, this field, they are pretty much stacked nose to tail. Well, some people call this stage of the race a little bit boring, Aaron. It's not boring. I think of it almost, I think of it a bit like war at times, you know. I think of it almost like, you know, you're in the battlefield, you're strategizing here. You're not racing, you're strategizing.
And you're setting yourself up, and one thing to note, we had a 5-lap variance on that first run. The lead 4 pitted essentially lap 30. The average pit window by my math is 32 to 33, so and with the in-car adjustments, you can also do fuel mixture. So I have to think the likes of Holgate and company were running a little bit lighter. So I don't know if we know what Holgate and Alfala's cars are capable of. Maybe this is very much like maybe like a Tour de France race where you're going to let those leaders run out, use their stuff. You're going to know what they have, and they're not going to know what you have at the end. So fuel right now, these mechanics, these spotters, the crew chiefs, they are doing the math right now, because right now I think Holgate's got a lot more than what he's shown us.
New fastest lap of the motor race at 224 miles an hour. That's Austin Espartee there. New fastest lap of the day, Paul.
And it's certainly picking up from what we saw. Start of the race was about 40.6, high sixes, and now we're down to 338. You definitely tell the guys up front are running much lower on fuel than the guys further back. But business definitely picking up speed-wise. But looking through the field, these guys are generally pretty spaced out, about even. A couple of scraps going on. Ray Alfala is sizing up Tim Holgate and wants to try and get by him, and he is within striking distance. Right behind him, Jeff Drake doing the same thing. Go ahead.
I think Austin Espartee just hit the wall out of turn number 2. We're having a look at the replay. On board of him here. Out of turn, he just grazed it there. And how they say, sometimes you've got to white rule the wall. You just don't want to hit it unless you're square on. It's a bit like Darlington at points.
And that's exactly what he did. And typically turn 2, we don't talk about turn 2 too much. When we talk about incidents, we talk about turn 1. Turn 2 oftentimes is the forgotten corner. It's supposedly the easiest, but that very gentle 2-mile-an-hour wind out of the north, as soon as you come out where the banking just starts, Espartee loose off of turn 2. So
did it again.
Same spot. He's and what caused that looseness? Car got tight. Lots of steering input. You put more and more and more, and when the tires finally grab, well, that's when you see the car sort of snaps, and that can be very difficult for the driver to relay to the mechanic, saying, "Well, I'm loose. I'm loose. I'm loose." No, actually, you're tight, which is creating the looseness off the corner. So Espartee, hands full here at the quarter mark distance.
Let's give a shout out to this guy running in P number 8, Paul. Jake Wright, the Californian driver. Never heard of him before, but running in P number 8 right now, and he has driven himself up 24 places. And his lap times are actually comparable with everyone apart from the top 4.
Yeah, Jake's definitely showing he's got game. Last lap was 40.77. He's into the 478s with everybody else. He is sticking with this group and sticking well. So Jake starting 32nd, up 24 spots to position 8. He is in a fantastic spot, and he is in good company to put himself in a great position here at the end. All he's got to do is keep it clean, make those good stops, hit his marks, and he might be our dark horse of the race.
Oh yeah, especially with those sorts of speeds, and just again, strategy will be an option. On board then, with an NASCAR Peak Anti-Freeze Series driver, and that is Ray Alfala. As right now, Aaron, he's running himself in P number 12.
And I think his car can run a lot faster. I think it can run a lot closer. I think he, too, is doing very much like Holgate. Both of these cars have more speed than what they're showing. They are on the split strategy. They are going to be able to go about 5 or with those yellows, maybe even a few more laps than what our leaders did. So, again, now that we have the math down, 12.5 miles if it is 5 laps. But right now, on a split strategy, there's no reason to really, if you're expecting this race to go green the entire way, you really don't need to be battling. You can save fuel because you have the top 10 cars in front of you. They're essentially in a different race than what you are. They have their plan, you have your plan, and when you do commit to a strategy, well, it seems every race we end up talking about this. When you commit to a strategy, you have to stick with it. You can't waffle back and forth.
Yep, and it's worth noting what we expect to see Brandon Traino on pit road soon. Crosno, by the way, of course, we saw him have a moment on pit road earlier on today. He's got on himself in P number 26. Retiree, he's got himself Tanner Watkins. Scored actually on the lead lap. I take that one back. You got 2 laps down for Chin. You got yourself 2 laps down for John Porzek. Then you got yourself 4 real retirees. Head of Nigel, Gognujok, Jonathan Goke, and Stefan Remedy. Here is your race leader. It is the driver of Brandon Traino, heading himself now through turn number 4, and that's going to be another lap then in the books for your race leader, Brandon Traino, who's led 54 laps now of this motor race ball.
Traino showing some remarkable fuel numbers, especially considering he's leading and he's in the clean air, which of course, as we know, creates more drag on the car and is less fuel efficient. So Traino obviously working the throttle here, trying to get some fuel mileage out of that car. I would expect that we'll see him in at least this lap or the next, along with Marco Brazil probably also be coming in. But the whole front pack here getting on towards 33 laps. We're going to see pits here probably this time around.
Yeah, not for Traino.
Or not.
He'll do
Wow.
another lap. Of course, they did run about 8 laps under caution overall. Now, Traino, of course, has the opportunity, like all these other drivers, of making use of fuel mapping here. And Aaron, what you can do under the yellow flag conditions is you can hit yourself fuel map 7 and you head yourself into safety car mode, which basically means you shut the engine off almost. You basically tittle around at about 60 miles an hour. You don't go any faster, and essentially, if you do that and utilize your right foot and be strategic, you have yourselves the opportunity to save a lot of fuel, and that's really helped bring Traino back into the game here. Here he is, as he's going to stay out and do another lap. So it looks as though that we're expecting these guys in at about 3 laps from now maximum. And of course, if you are the driver of Tim Holgate, add yourself another 5, 6, 7 laps to that.
Yeah, Jack Keithley coming out of pit road, he was running 10th, so he did not get the fuel numbers. But if you are teammates in the top 4, you don't really want to pit together, because if the car behind carries too much speed, well, you can lose both of your bullets in this race in one swift go. So at this rate, I got to think all 4 of these cars are going to be pitting together. That can be very treacherous. But you talk about fuel map 7, you can almost get 3 for 1, as here comes Traino. Merritt stays out.
Well, that's exactly what Aaron was just talking about. We've got ourselves a Vortex driver on pit road as well. There is Traino on pit road, honestly. There's just a scoring tower in the way. We're on board then with Traino for his second pit stop of the day. Last time by 11.1. We thought it was a bit slow, but he may well just be topping that thing up all the way to the brim. 66 or 200 are going to be scored complete. This time by pit stop timer up now for Brandon Traino. Here he is, having a look on pit road to see what he can do. And the answer is going to be for that number 7 machine, 10.699. Then as he comes out of pit road, we've got another driver, and that is Marco Brazil there. He comes out of pit road in 10.2 seconds. There's the bump. There's the bump, Paul.
Yeah, that treacherous bump. You've got to be so careful trying to get around that thing. We've all hit it. This car seems to be better around it this year than it has in years past. But if you're not aware of that thing, you're on the gas, you hit that thing, suddenly the back end breaks free, and you're pirouetting around the beginning, the entry to pit road. And of course, you know, during yellow flag when guys are coming out, that's a really bad thing. We saw a couple of years ago, Tim Holgate did that, I believe. Spun it right at the entrance of, or the exit of pit row, and everyone had to try to figure their way around him, and he could do nothing. He had to stay and wait.
As Matt Pavelski's on pit road there, you can see Pavelski. You've also got yourself Austin Esparti then. 2 drivers on a pit road here, Aaron.
And they're on pit road. What I can't believe is that we have not announced Merritt or Norton on pit road. The difference in fuel mileage you're getting from Traino is, well, I'm going to say mind-boggling. They were on the same strategy, and that could be the difference, that Traino was showing speed, but maybe he got a little suckered into leading so much that he burned a lot more fuel. So Norton and Demerit's going to do yet another lap. Here comes Norton in.
Yep, so Norton's on towards pit road. Austin Esparti out and away. You've got yourself Trainer working himself past those ones, and Ryan Norton's on towards pit road. His last time was 10.3, and actually, Paul, that was a very risky pit entry.
It was a very aggressive pit entry, and who was more aggressive than that was Marnief coming up behind him. Just drags it down at the last possible second. A masterful drive going into the pits there.
Here's Norton then on pit road, number 6, Club Indiana machine. Long stop, 12.1 seconds, and that's actually going to have Marnief past him.
And that was the payoff. Marnief making that aggressive entry, a great pit stop from the crew, and look at this, he's ahead.
But Brown and Trainer will still go past. Let's get ourselves on another look then, on board with Nigel Marnief. And this just shows you, this is the most beautiful sight, really, in all the motorsports. When you come out of pit road and you've just beaten someone, and it makes your life so much easier, Paul.
Oh yeah, spots gained on pit road are basically free spots. You don't have to take any risk to get them, and there's no effort. And if you can pass people on pit road, it is by far the best thing, just to come out with that better stop and everything. So Marnief with the new fresh tires now working over Austin Espity, who's on older tires. So I don't think he stopped. No, Austin Espity has stopped, so he's also on new tires. But amazing how those cold tires have really such massive grip in the first lap.
One lap led today by Jake Wright as he comes on towards pit road. Then he decided that he has done enough for the time being, coming in towards pit road. Holgate leads this motor race again, as we expected him to. But of course, he will be in the next couple of laps or so. 10.2 seconds out and away for Jake Wright. As here is Tim Holgate. He works himself through turn number 3 in towards turn number 4 right now. Will he come towards pit road? The answer is going to be no, not yet, but not far away, Paul.
No, not far away. That's 30 laps for Holgate, Alfala, Drake, Masita, and Simpson. In fact, the first 10 positions, all 30 laps now for that tank of fuel. Of course, we are talking about some yellow flag time too, so probably 4 or 5 laps, probably 6, perhaps to get them into the fuel range.
Indeed, potentially so. There, just having a look right now, as we can see Tim Holgate. There you can see Ray Alfala. He works himself in second place right now, as Holgate's going to work himself now out of turn number 4 once again. And he'll do another lap, because of course he was on that split strategy, and topping up actually may well prove to be vital for him, Aaron.
And this is a thing that makes Indy so interesting, that you said, oh, the lap 50 through 75 phase, boring. No, this is the hand you're making now, the bed you're making now can set you up for the final sprint to the end. And right now, the best thing for Holgate is that he has 2 lap cars. He has TM Hauser and Jack Keithley in front of him. Well, I say lap down there in the tail end of the lead lap, but Holgate now is able to save a little bit more fuel. Holgate is the master of strategy. We have seen him at many oval races not lead till the final 10 laps, because he just lurks in the field, saving fuel, and when it comes to the end, he shows his hand. So this right now, the best thing for Holgate, you're leading the race and saving fuel.
Alex Simpson on towards pit road. Of course, he's a driver in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, and also the team principal for Apex Racing UK. Here he is. Pit stop time for him then, 10.3 out and away for Alex Simpson. Not a bad pit stop for him. Ray Alfala then, as he exits turn number 4. We're going to have actually Tim Holgate on towards pit road. Aaron, take it away.
And a very good entry. Got down to 62 miles an hour at the cones, dropped it down so he didn't go over the average, but very nice entry. When he comes out, he's not going to be the leader by any means, but we're going to have to do the math as he slides, and he has to put the car in reverse.
Overshot.
That is not what you want to do. That's going to be about 2-3 seconds lost. So as Ray Alfala makes his stop, if Ray Alfala has a clean stop, he will be in front, but when you're on that split strategy, you got to be perfect, and 2-3 seconds there, that is not what Holgate, that's very uncharacteristic out of Holgate.
It was actually, he short-filled because he knew what the issue was. He short-filled there, he's out in 10.3, but yeah, he lost about a second and a half as Alfala then on towards pit road, and that's a gaggle of cars behind him as it stands. So, here is Ray Alfada. He comes on towards pit road. Brandon Trost takes command of this motor race. Jeff Drake is on pit road. You've got JB Mercedes, Brandon Lichtenberg, et al. Here, all on pit road. And here is Ray Alfada. He is going to make himself a pit stop right now, and he'll be out and away.
And Jeff Drake overshot his pit. Jeff Drake massively overshot his pit. Had to back up.
Yep, so let's keep an eye out then on Ray Alfada versus the driver of Tim Holgate. We think it's going to be close between the two of them. As you can see there, Alfada doing the game. And actually, you can see Tim Holgate side by side there. Will it be indeed Holgate alongside Ray Alfada, and Alfada is going to fall back in behind. So that confirms, Aaron, that Holgate's short field there.
And I don't know if I like that call. We talk about split strategies. We talk about sticking with it. Yeah, he did make a mistake. 2 seconds though. Oh, now is that 2 seconds going to be the difference between one stop? Remember, our last Indy 500 wheel, 16th Street, Tim Holgate came 1 lap short, cost him the 16th Street Championship. So when it comes down to just a few drops of petrol in the tank, well, Holgate, he knows the risk of short filling. So we'll see if it pays out at the end. Holgate, very much like the legendary Young-O, I'm not going to question the strategy he does, because oftentimes it pays off in the end, but the last 500-mile race Holgate did not end the way he wanted to.
Indeed so. So Tanner Watkins, by the way, out in 11.2 seconds. Before we go to commercial, let's spend a moment to review your field as it stands right now. As you will see there, Tanner Watkins says his pit stop time one more time for you. And your top 8, Treno, Demerit, Pavelski, Espati, Demarneith, Walters, Norton, and Wright are your top 8. Keep an eye out on this guy. This guy could well be your dark horse here today. He's only 7 seconds behind your race leader, but he's still looking strong. It's Jake C. Wright as we go RaceSpotTV side by side.
These moments that define champions. Finding calm amongst chaos. Focus amongst distraction. Channeling nerves into confidence. Fear is not an option. Failure is the enemy. Do you have what it takes? Tighten your belts. Shut your visor. The battle begins now.
Stay tuned for the greatest spectacle in racing.
$84 laps then, going to be scored complete, are scored complete in this motor race so far. So far we've had 3 cautions for a total of 7 laps. We are through one of our longest green flag runs that we have seen all day long, and we've had ourselves a total of 13 different lead changes. Will Vincent, Paul Jenkins, Aaron Likens, and well, Aaron, this isn't the most exciting 500 we've seen so far, but at this stage of the motor race, we always say one thing: get yourself into position for the last 100 miles. So this is the calm before the storm, and this is a chance to basically say your prayers and say to Lady Luck, or the Speedway itself, let me win this event.
Trano's hoping the flagman does no more work today except show the white and checkered. Trano's last, about 16 laps has not had a variance more than about 0.03 of a second. Trano putting down just identical lap after lap after lap. He had a stretch between lap 79 and 82, just 0.06 of a second variance between those 4 laps. So Trano being just absolutely consistent.
Norton has just pitted here, Paul.
I think Norton hit the wall or something. I'm trying to find out what exactly happened here, but Norton definitely slowed down, and I'm trying to find out if he's got damage. It looks like the right side might be damaged in the side pod, but that car definitely was slowing down.
Well, we're on board then with Ryan Norton. Let's listen in. Okay, through 1.
Lap 85, Will. Lap 85, turn 1.
Oh, yeah. Well, it seems to be that his car just doesn't seem to be working properly anymore. We just saw him cut the grass through turn number 2, Aaron.
Yeah, lap 85 and turn 1, he did hit the wall, not like we saw Espity earlier by whitewalling, but he made significant contact. The way the car is handling, I think he's bent the suspension a little bit, which has created some oversteer. So any chance Norton had at winning this race has gone by the wayside. Currently 1 lap down. Car, as he gets passed by Pavelski, P3. Norton's in 26. I think he may have pitted. He may have done a setup change to maybe make the car tighter, to maybe try to counteract the damage, but it's going to be a long road to the end, as Norton actually going to, thought about going to the inside of Pavelski down the straightaway, but he wouldn't really gain anything. I don't know, maybe I was wrong. The car may have the speed. You can damage your car to where you can be towed, but the second you get into clean air, you don't have a chance. So maybe he can get away with this. We'll have to do the math on the pit window to see if he's going to be in the same pit boat as everybody else in terms of remaining stops. But as it stands now, 1 lap down and not where he wanted to be.
Yep, Demerit runs in second though, teammate of Ryan Norton. In fact, it's a broken arrow, 1-2 as it stands right now. Question, Paul, if this happens, will this basically cement Broken Arrow as one of the biggest and best IndyCar sim racing teams of all time?
Well, you cannot deny the accomplishments this team has had. They are definitely, if not the pinnacle, one of the best teams we've seen emerge in the service since we've started here. And really the answer, if you ask them, is just tireless research, tireless practice, learning the ins and outs of this car. And it really shows on the racetrack. These guys come prepared. They come with cars that are fast. They come with strategy that is sound. And it seems like they are very coherent as a team. So really, it seems like a pretty good organization.
We're on board with Tim Holgate right now, battling it out with Jake Wright once again. Wright is staying calm, staying collected. And Holgate, of course, he had himself that issue earlier on in this motor race, Aaron, with that, shall we call it a pit snafu?
And I say that is uncharacteristic from Holgate. One thing, Holgate, we go back 3 years ago, every race he had, and I remember one interview he said he finally, well, it was hard of me mentioning it, but he would make one mistake, and that would just then create a snowball effect that would eventually end in his demise in the race. That may be his one mistake, but he has been putting down very consistent laps, and he's doing what he needs to do right now, and that is save fuel. He short-filled due to making that mistake, so I think he's going to be, well, what would you say, well, maybe 5 laps shorter than what Alfala can run, so if he can save some fuel by drafting right, he may be able to get one of those laps back in terms of how far he can go.
Yeah, indeed, we're running ourselves on board right now with that driver of Tim Holgate. Works himself then through turn number 4, and well, Holgate, of course, we know he is fast, we know he is capable, but he's got to get himself better up into position. Down on your pack, you got yourself JB Maceda versus TM Hauser right now. This gap is just half of a second. P12 versus P number 13 right now, Aaron.
And this stage of the race, you did mention that you want to set yourself up. Every position right now, oftentimes you say, well, it's 500 miles. Why do you have to fight so much? Well, okay, you gain a spot on the racetrack. We get a yellow, and if you make 2 spots up, now you have a net gain of 3, and you're a lot further ahead. Ooh, that was very close for JB there in turn 3. That car getting a lot of understeer as the car in front of him, Marco Aurelio Brazil, is going to pit out of P11. So that split strategy, Marco Aurelio Brazil, who started from pit lane, has worked his way all the way up to 11th, now comes into the pits.
Yep, lap number 95 or 200 here. We've been racing for just shy of an hour, 20 minutes. So, oh, Brazil almost doing a Will Power homestead there, Aaron.
Oh, locked it up and almost found the inside wall. Now, when you pit that close to the inside wall, that is going to lengthen your pit stop by about half a second, as you do make the pit crew members take a really funky angle to work on your car. So that did no help with the pit time, but out and away he goes, and his Indy 500 recommences.
Indeed it does. You'll see that car's working himself on the outside. Of course, they're going to be faster. We've got Brandon Traino on pit road then. Lap number 96 of 200. We're going to turn our attention to that one right about now. Here he is on pit road. Out and away, 11.198 seconds. Back on track then for the broken aero machine, Paul.
Kind of a slow stop for Brendan Traino, 11.1 seconds. You expect like 10.5 seconds from that team, so not terribly impressed with their stop. But again, he had a pretty commanding lead, so it shouldn't make such a big deal. So Brandon Traino now coming out of the pits. We'll have to see where he ends up when everything shakes out. But everyone's kind of on a staggered stop at this point. Looking at 27.5 laps for Demerit now on fuel, so 28 this time by. But it's been entirely green flagged at this point, so probably expect them to come in here around 31, I believe. 32, is that what we calculated?
Yeah, we've got Marnif and Pavelski in. So the pit, what we're seeing fuel-wise has been about an 8-lap variance from 30 to about 35, 36. If you do stretch it with the cars running out of fuel, that first run was more like 29, so they were full rich the entire first session. That second stint, even with the yellows, they went a little bit further than what I thought they could. But what we saw that run is that Traino didn't run as Pavelski last time ran a lot farther than Traino, but this time there was only a 1-lap difference.
Indeed, that is. So there's a pit stop time there for Austin Espartee. Out and away in 10.9 seconds. Back out onto track. He will come, Paul.
And Alfala had a fantastic 9-second stop for Alfala, so maybe he came in with a little bit more fuel. Had to take on less to get out there. Remember, when he pitted last time, we assumed that he short-fueled and went out with less fuel. So, interesting strategy here. He may have short-fueled again to try and continue to gain spots in the pits.
Holgate's still on the track, though. Remember, last time Holgate made the error, and we said he short-filled, and then Alfala came in the lap prior, and now Alfala has pitted before Holgate. So, Oh, wow, you can, if this were a football game, I mean, in the film room Monday, trying to dissect all these different plays would give a offensive coordinator a headache.
Indeed so. We are working ourselves then on lap number 100. Another car on towards pit road. That is Bradley Walters in that number 29 machine. We're on board though with Tim Holgate through turn 1. He comes. Speed chart there up on your screen. Let's experience this lap on board with Holgate. That's what we like to call flat all the way. As Demerit is on towards pit road there, Paul. Demerit on towards pit road, and out and away he will come. Pit stop time. In fact, he's coming into his pit box even. Slides in,
Oh, wow.
but that's okay.
Yeah, he's just getting a good angle to get back out, I guess, but slides it into the box for Chris Demerit. Time ticking down here, 10.3, and he's on his way back out.
Well, he will come back out there. You can see 10.3 second pit stop for him. Where will he feed in? Well, there's James Swinbanks. That's not a battle. He's really looking for Brandon Treno. Brandon Treno is 1 second back. In fact, you can see right now, there is Demerit. We'll see the next guy that's going to breeze past him could well be Brandon Treno. But as it stands, it looks as though that he's going to be very close, and Treno is actually just going to go past him there. In towards turn number 3. Treno with the advantage there, Paul.
But not as much of a margin as we saw when they were outside before they went into pit road. That slow stop did cost Treno a little bit. Now Demerit is right behind him in the draft and does pose a threat now. So now Treno needs to try and drive away again. Going to use that lap traffic to try and create a pickoff, and it looks like he may have partially been successful here.
Well,
Right.
if we go green the rest of the way, I think everybody that has stayed out now is going to have one less stop than Treno and company. If you can get 33 laps in, we're now past lap 100. That's when we saw Demerit pit. So Demerit may be in the good, but as early as Treno pitted, they're going to have to trim it way down. I think they're going to be 1 to 2 laps short, as we do have Holgate as the leader right now. You pit now, and if you can do 32 laps, you're going to make it to the end with one less stop. So this is going to get very interesting to see what type of pace Treno is going to put up, because right now I have them being a couple laps short and having to pit one extra time.
As they can see, Tim Holgate's going to stay out. And hey, Paul, we're over halfway there, and we're still living on a prayer.
Yeah. And a remarkable race. We take stock of the first half of this race, except for the three yellows, and one really was just sort of an incident on the restart. A very clean race. We still have 29 cars running in the 33-car field. Remarkable, actually, how cleanly these guys are driving. And I wanted to take a quick mention of second place, JB Masita. Here's another driver we haven't talked about all day, Vortex team JB Masita. And he's one of these guys that is in a good position fuel-wise. If this thing goes green all the way to the end, he might be a factor to talk about.
Holgate coming in.
So there's Christian Steele's pit stop there, 10.2 seconds. Marcus Jensen's there out in 10.1. And Tim Holgate is on towards pit road. Well, that's Chet Simpson. He's now up into P number 2. Rick Music in P number 3. But Tim Holgate then in towards his pit stop. And, well, Holgate, it's an interesting one because he didn't qualify really well for this 500. And Jeff Drake leads his first lap on this motor race, Aaron.
And, well, going to Holgate, we've been seeing that recently on the ovals. Holgate can start 8th, 10th, 12th, 1st. It doesn't matter. He's going to find a way to get up front by the end of this race. And I really love the strategy call he's done right now. We'll have to wait till it all cycles through. We have so many strategies going on right now. We have 5 different strategies. That's very difficult to put. Whereas Holgate comes out, you can see Alfala. He's now going to pull about 40 car lengths, and Kevin Ellis and Ryan Norton's going to be between him and Alfala. But for Holgate, that's okay, because I think he's going to be one stop shorter than everybody else. But that also means that Tross, Lichtenberg, and Drake are going to be in the same boat, as well as JB Masita. So, I want to see this thing go green to the end.
Well, we've seen over 100 laps green in this event before. What are we now? 60?
Thereabouts, yes, 60. We had a yellow lap. 30 was the first one. Then the immediate restart incident, and then Jonathan Goke. So taking a look at, we're about 62, I believe.
Yep, and Jamie Masita has pitted. Of course, you can see there are more drivers coming back out on track. Got a people I want to talk about here, actually, who are not having a good day. John Porzek and Jimmy Swimbanks there. Of course, Swimbanks, he won the 2012 Rookie Indianapolis 500 back when that existed, Paul. He's now scored as a lap down. He's hoping for a caution at a weird time to get himself back on the lead lap. Porzek, of course, had an incident earlier on. He's now scored as 2 laps down.
And talking about Swinbanks, he of course he had that shunt at the restart, and after that his times have not looked pretty much the same. It looks like he's right at 41-0. Go ahead.
Brandon Trost is on pit road out of fuel. He is coasting it. That clutch is in. If you overshoot now, it is game over for Brandon Trost. Let's listen in. He's lucky. He's in.
Oh.
He shifts it down. Pit stop time up is going to be a couple of tenths of a second more to refire that thing there. 10.419. He's out and away. Randy Crosno doing the same in 10.336 there. Trost, he just dodged the bullet.
And that shows just how they are going. He has it in his mind, which I've said Trost has been doing some of the most radical strategy the past year or so that we have seen, and he has it in his mind that he is going to have to make one less stop. So even though Trano and Demerit are 1-2 right now, Demerit, he may get away with it. I think Trano's going to be 1 lap short. So if he has to start saving Demerit right now, Demerit's job isn't to take the lead, it is to push Trano. The good thing for Trano is he does have Tanner Watkins and Brian Spots in front of him. They are half a second slower than what Trano can run, but if you're Trano now, do you think about saving fuel?
Yes. Paul, do you agree?
Yeah, Trano is, if he continues to drive on the point like this, and just as an aside, looks like JB Masita has dropped out of the race. But if he continues to run on the point like this, and there's no yellows, Brandon Trano's going to be awfully close on the fuel. And I think Aaron has it right. I think he's going to be short by at least a lap, maybe a lap and a half. But he needs all the help he can get. He might want to think about letting Demerit around him and just following at this point.
Update on Masita, guys. He made a pass on a car that had come out of the pits on the back straightaway. Jeff Drake running 4th at the time. JB went to the inside, got a little too low, washed up, hit the wall, and 3 pulled the car into the pit. So what was going to be a spectacular run has ended for JB Masita.
Yeah, indeed. So there you can see the gap is 3 tenths per second between P1 and P number 2 here. 111 of 200 will be scored complete this time by here in the 7th annual Indianapolis 500 here on Oh my word, is that Austin SMC just wall riding once again? .com. Let's listen in. It was close, Aaron.
Oh, man.
It was very close. He got away with it. That car started pushing in the middle, and I think what caused that, I don't think he was prepared. He was starting to close in on Nigel Marneef just a little bit, and he got behind on his adjustments, and also a little bit of a late turn-in. His wheels were pointed far to the left there, and not only was he lucky to avoid the outside wall, but lucky not to spin it as we saw Jonathan Goke did earlier in the race.
Yep, there we are. Super slow mo replay there for Austin Espartee. We, ladies and gentlemen, are going to slow it down for ourselves here. Take your RaceSpotTV side by side on that. I'll tell you one thing, Aaron, actually, before we go to commercial. If he was 20 yards further back, then he would have been out of the race because he would have hit the safer barrier.
Yes, that very astute there. So he got lucky that car started pushing at the exit of the turn. So Espartee, that's about the second he's dodged this race. So at this rate, he's going to be like a cat and going to use 9 lives. But if he keeps using them early, Hate to see what's going to happen to him later. You can't get away with that often and still be in this race.
RaceSpotTV side by side coming up now.
These are the moments that define champions. Finding calm amongst chaos. Focus amongst distraction. Channeling nerves into confidence. Fear is not an option. Failure is the enemy. Do you have what it takes? Tighten your belts. Shut your visor. The battle begins now.
On board then with Tim Holgate running himself in P number 8 right now. Ray Alfano right ahead of him. Do I hear a fuel save there, Paul?
Well, Trino is definitely not saving fuel. His last lap 7.67. He's been in the 6s, so Trino definitely on it. He's, by our calculations, he's going to have to bank on a yellow. Demerit, on the other hand, well, he's not saving either. 40.7, 40.6. So it doesn't look like anybody's really playing the fuel game except for maybe Espity. I got to keep an eye on him. He may be, but by and large, I think these guys are really just kind of going for it.
True run through the field, Aaron.
Through the field, well, you mentioned Holgate, and I think he has the speed to just get around Alfala. I think you're right there. He is lifting. His lap times are good. His lap times are almost mirroring the leader, but it is draft dated, and he's staying right there. He is not making any effort to get any closer, so I think he has trimmed the car fuel mileage a little bit, or sorry, the mileage down. But going through the field, let's go up further. Well, Paul covered the first place and second place, what they were doing. Our P3 driver, Matt Pavelski, odd strategy by him, Will. Earlier we saw him do 6 or 7 laps longer than what our race leader did, and on the last pit cycle he pitted at the same time, so I gotta think he short-filled on that 2 stops ago to try to gain some time, and right now I'd say that strategy has not paid off.
Yeah, Pavelski runs himself in the 3rd place right now, but out front, Brandon Trainer leads this motor race. Starting on the P number 1. Paul, he's P number 1 right now.
A dominating performance so far from Brandon Trino. 87 laps led in the contest. The next closest one is 16 by Christopher Demerit, but every time Chris gets into the front, just seems like Trino just drives around him. So certainly Chris has his work cut out for him, but again, you don't win this race on speed alone.
Christopher Demerit runs himself in P number 2 right now. Last time by 40.753. He's consistent in his lap times there. He just works himself past some lap traffic. And well, Demerit, he started P2, running in P number 2. Is this broken arrow saying, let's pull away and fight it out at the end, Paul?
I think it really is, especially when you talk about Trano. I think he's just trying to drive away from the field, put as much of a gap between himself and Demerit as he can and the rest of the field. I don't know if they were originally thinking about working together, but it's obvious that Demerit just can't hang at this point. 1.8 seconds back from Trano, and just seems to be just that little bit off on speed. So Trano's definitely got the thing trimmed out for running in front. I think he's had the thing trimmed out to run in front all day, which begs an interesting question. What happens if Trano gets into heavy traffic? If this keeps going green, he's going to have to start contending. He's already had to contend with some lap traffic, and he's going to continue to. He's coming up on Randy Krosno right now and going to work him over. One at a time, not so bad. But if you run into a gaggle of cars that are fighting with each other, this is where things can start getting treacherous, especially if you have a car trimmed out for speed.
Yeah, and actually last time by, Demerit was faster than Brandon Trano. Let's go back on board. That was almost a shake-to-esque moment there with Brandon Trano. But let's go on board with him. He's looking to get past Randy Krosno. Krosno won't make this too easy for him. He wants that track position. He wants to stay on the lead lap, and that is one thing worth fighting for, Aaron.
Yes, it is. And Trano got very close, very, very close. He did hit the wall. I think he hit it square, both tires at the same time. You can, if you hit it square, it's not going to mess anything up too badly. But
you hope.
You gotta hope if you're a Trano. There's 20 some other drivers that's hoping Trano has a little bit of issues, but Krosno wanting to stay on the lead lap. Trano hasn't had any issues so far. Swinbanks and Spots, Watkins all just gave room, but Krosno has the speed, and if anybody needs a good showing in this race, it's Krosno. The bad luck monkey has been on his shoulder now, Will, what, 4 years? Thereabouts. Just anything and everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for Krosno. He has the speed. I really don't know. Got to think maybe something happened on a pit stop to put him this far back, as his lap times are only about a 10th off the race leader. But right now he's got to fend off Trano, and or is it more like Trano has to try to fend off Krosno as Trano pops to the inside far back? That's just a, hey, I'm back here and I want by as soon as possible type of maneuver.
Yeah, we're having a look now as we continue to go through the field here, Paul. P number 4, that is Nigel Marneef, 10 seconds behind your race leader.
And Nigel Marneef running a pretty quiet race, just sort of, he started on 10th, managed to work himself up to 4th here, and is at this point just sort of off on an island by himself. Nobody really around him at this point, so at this point in the race, you can still kind of do that. You want to coast around, you want to be careful, but we're getting very quickly to the point where if you've got it, you're going to have to show it. And especially when you get towards the last 50 laps of the race, if you're not in a position, you've got to make a move. And yeah, Brandon Trano pits.
No, Pavelski's on pit road. Pavelski's on pit road.
Trano is too.
36, and Trano's on pit road as well. So is this then the countback moment here? Because, well, they're too early. They're too early, in my opinion, by about 14 laps
I like
at this
this.
point.
I like this.
This is a good move, yeah.
Because they were doing 29 laps stint, so at the rate they were going, they were going to have to pit on lap 191. They had a big enough cushion. They can pit now and maintain the lead lap. So it's very much like road course racing. If the yellow comes out right about now, they're going to re-inherit the lead. So they're going to be able to run full mixture now, not having to worry about the fuel game. So they've made their bed early. They aren't going to waffle it like we saw Kanaan at Pocono several years ago. I mean, poor Kanaan. Every fuel mileage thing that goes out the window now that busts, that's going to be the poster example of pitting early here. They hit their window. They're in it. They've been doing 29 laps a stint, so I like what I'm seeing. Question now, we've had so much happening, I don't know if we'll get through the field to the likes of Holgate and company. I'm going to see how many laps they've ran between stints, but see just exactly where they are and if they're going to have to make one last stop or if they're going to make one less stop than what we just saw. I'll get back to
Holgate
you
right
on
now,
that.
29 or 23 laps this time around.
Yeah, and he's currently running himself in P number 4, Paul, last time by 40.9. He is still saving fuel.
He does appear to be. Now, obviously, this maneuver with Trano, really, I think, if it goes green all the way, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a gamble. I mean, we've seen speed from Trano, though, so he can almost practically drive himself back from this.
I'll tell you one thing, though, Aaron. You just mentioned Tony Kanaan. Of course, I've got all my Indy 500 tickets up on my wall. There's one thing that Tony Kanaan can say. He's an Indy 500 champion.
And not only that, the fastest Indy 500 date, which after Leyendijk's 1990 race, people said, well, that's never going to be topped. But, of course, Kanaan did do that. So records meant to be broken. I've been watching Holgate's lap times, Will. Holgate pitted on lap 75 and then again on lap 105. He's doing 30 laps a stint, which puts him right now 5 laps short, 195. He's going to need to stretch each of these stints 2 laps to make it to the end. And looking at his lap times, he's had some 41.0s, 41.4s. So his engineers really now are watching the fuel numbers if he can stretch this 2 laps. But the problem is if you're running a second slower than what Trano can do, well, we have more than 40 laps in this race left. Trano is going to be able to pass him on speed by making that 1 extra pit stop, as my goodness, we've got a lot of strategies going on.
Well, yeah, you're right. As we've got Alex Simpson out on towards pit road, there you can see Alex Simpson on pit road as we speak there. His pit stop time going to come up on the screen right about now. He's going to be out and away in a total time of 10.492 seconds. And he now will circulate back onto the racing surface. And well, it is worth noting actually, Paul, earlier on, Aaron talked about the 2011 ABC intro for the Indy 500, and the word immortality came through. If any one of these guys, Tim Holgate, Nigel Moneve, win this motor race, they will become immortal. If Ryan Norton wins this race, of course, he becomes the first driver to win on a Friday and Saturday.
Indeed, and
Demerit's in.
definitely
Sorry, guys. Demerit's in, and he's going to be getting a speeding penalty. He came in at the cones at 85 miles an hour, locked it up, got sideways. So you talk about mortality. Well, when it comes to second, nobody remembers you, and finishing further back because of a black flag. That we'll have to see if Demerit has a long pit stop, but that could be his race run.
Let's listen in. It's a long one. Demerit,
yep, it is.
Speeding penalty. And it's game over for Christopher Demerit. He now needs a caution, Aaron.
And he had the strategy. He got to lap 131. He could run 32 laps. He was going to be in the good. I don't think he needed to do that. He ran 32 laps at previous stint. He did not need to do that, and he went and sped 15-second hold. He's going to come out mired in the field, and he's going to need more than a yellow. He's going to need a yellow in the next 10 laps. Going to need about a 10-lap run. Going to need to make some positions, as Real Fowler just says, thank you very much for your penalty. I'll pass you down the back straightaway. Oh, that is the heart Indy can lead to.
Yep. As we always say, the track has a say on who does and who doesn't win this motor race. And now it's Holgate leading for the time being from Jeff Drake and then Chad Simpson. Rick Music up into P number 4 here on this strategy. We know that this P1 racing driver can be fast. Well, Music now, he's been in pole position before on a top level Indy 500 event. He is fast as anything, Paul. Here he comes. Number 1 machine, down in P4, but up in P4, and that is a total gain so far of 10 places.
We have seen good speed out of Rick Music in the past, and it seems like we're seeing it again here. A decent showing, of course. He's won a couple of these, not the official one if I recall correctly, but I remember specifically getting into a battle with Rick Music in a 500 of some sort. I don't remember how far back it was, but very quick driver, very accomplished driver. So he's certainly got game to get what he needs done here. It's just a matter of strategy, and this is really, I think this is going to be the theme. If this thing stays green, who's got the strategy? Obviously, mistakes are another big thing too. Demerit we just saw. You got to be flawless around here. You know, the track giveth, but the track also taketh away. And you make one little mistake in this place, and it'll bite you hard.
Lap number 135 to 200. Tom?
The lap to watch, Will, if you want to run full tilt to the end, magic mark is going to be lap 139, 140, as we do have Chad Simpson pitting from P3 and Holgate out of the lead. So right now they're still going to be 5 laps short if they want to run full fuel mixture. Holgate very nice into the box, a little bit of a lockup, but definitely not what we saw out of Demerit. But right now, fuel strategy wise, I think I like what Trost is doing. Trost has got he's pitted the latest the last time. Last time he pitted on lap 108, so 108, 138, 168, 198. All he needs is 2 laps in this entire stint from lap 108 to make it to the end.
Well, there's Tim Holgate, 11.0 seconds there as he heads himself out on towards the racetrack once again. That means Chef Drake once again leads this motor race, but we will actually know Drake is on towards pit road. They can see Drake is in. You've also got yourself Rick Music and Brendan Lichtenberg in, and that means it's me, Brandon Trost, is leading this motor race as we stand right now. And he's working himself on a very good strategy here, Paul.
It's the Trost with the most, but he's going to be on here really shortly with a fuel stop too. This one in the next lap, getting on towards lap 30 this time around. But we've seen this before. Was he slowing down?
No, but he's staying out.
Okay.
That last
I just saw kind of a lousy trap speed. Yeah, I saw a lousy trap speed out of him. I was just wondering if his lap was 40.8, so I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing things. But we've seen this before with Trost running it to the very last drop, and he's won some, he's lost some with that strategy, but he sticks to it, he's consistent, and he certainly knows how to do the math.
It could be that lap that he ran out of fuel, that one extra lap he stretched. If we go green right now the rest of the way, I don't know how anybody beats Trost. He's the only one that's going to be able, if he can get through this lap, let's see, does he come in? Yes, he does. So right now, all he needs to do is save about 1 lap in the next 61 laps, and he's going to do 1 less stop than every other car on the track.
And Aaron, we talked about that long green flag run. As far as I'm aware, we're getting close to 100 laps.
I'm not going to jinx it. It is nice being right from time to time, but with the caliber of drivers, the 33 best IndyCar drivers that is on the service, along with some NASCAR crossovers, you'd expect nothing but this. And the fact that we have 6 different storylines playing out, 6 different real plot lines with different strategies. Will Trano win it on speed alone? Is Trost going to outthink everybody and win this race? What is Holgate? Holgate's going to have to stretch 5 laps. That's asking a lot. So right now, I think the only person that can beat Trano, well, originally it was going to be Demerit, but Demerit beat himself. So right now, even though there's going to be about 20 seconds or more separating them, this is going to be a battle between Trano and Trost. And the neat thing is they're on opposite ends of the racetrack. Yeah,
they are right now. There you can see Brandon Trost, and there you can see Brandon Trano. He's actually working himself now. He's about 6 seconds behind Brandon Trost as it stands. There you can see Brandon Trost right now, just being passed by the Apex Racing UK machine. We've got ourselves, well, 20 drivers on the lead lap, and the last one of those, it's Brandon Trost, Paul.
Yeah, Trost, last thing Trost wants to be here is lapped, so he needs to make sure that he keeps Trano behind him and not get passed by him. Trano about halfway through his fuel run now, so not going to be coming in anytime soon. Trost, of course, heavier on the fuel, so he's got his work cut out for him.
141 laps will be scored complete, this time by here at IMS. We'll take you side by side one more time.
What a move. Truex in the outside, contact made. 56 slides in at a 4. Who's going to be into stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Welcome back to RaceSpotTV. As well, the laps are ticking down all of a sudden here, Aaron. We've had ourselves 3 cautions, but we've had ourselves a total of 23 lead changes here today.
And currently Treno is out front, and before the break I talked about what Trust's strategy was. I think he perhaps overthought this and, outthought himself into submission, because if he goes a lap down, he is not going to have any chance at this race. So I think he lost about a good 5-10 seconds when he did have to coast into his pit stall. So with those 5 to 10 seconds, he may have had a chance at this, but right now Treno can pit and come out in front of Trost. So Trost not exactly going to be in contention for the win if this goes green, but still, he still is looking at a top 5, but beating Treno right now, well, it's going to take a major act for anybody to have anything for him at the end of this.
Indeed so. 1 second. There we are. So we are back here at IMS. We are back home again in Indiana one more time as well. Top 8, bottom of your screen. Treno, 8.1 second advantage over Matt Pavelski in the car name that's too long for me to even bother to think. Broken Rebel in my something Banshee.
Right, KMF, whatever.
Yeah.
So Anyway, one of the remarkable things about this race versus the one we saw last year is how spread out the field is. We didn't really see this last year. And I have to wonder if part of this is race strategy, part of this is the changes in the car and the track, and it looks like, I believe, Holgate, or rather Fella, is in the pits. Oh, I think he burned it in there.
Oh, as we see there, Holgate, that's actually Kevin Ellis Jr. going past Holgate. That seemed too easy there. Oh, that seemed way too easy.
Yeah, interesting maneuver there. Looks like Tim just definitely conceded the corner there. He made no effort to fight and just went ahead and let him by. So I wonder if Tim is also thinking maybe he could save a little bit of gas letting that happen.
He needs 5 laps from his previous pit stop. He needs to gain 5 laps total from lap 16, which was 15 laps ago, as the car in front of him peels off into the pits. That is Kevin Ellis. So Holgate, if he can figure out how to save 5 laps, he's going to be 1 stop shorter in our race leader. But that's asking a lot.
I don't think you can do that in one tank.
Don't forget, next Sunday it'll be here live on ABC, streaming live also on Watch ESPN. It will be the 100th edition of the Indianapolis 500. So join Elio Castroneves, looking to join the club of 4. Juan Pablo Montoya looking to join the club of 3. The same with Scott Dixon, as well as all other drivers looking to make their name and put themselves in the Borg Warner Trophy. The race time will be 12 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be on ABC, Watch ESPN in America, BT Sport in the United Kingdom, and of course on the ESPN player across Europe and on your local TV stations worldwide. So watch the greatest spectacle of racing on ESPN. Espati versus Demerit. Espati on pit road. He's about 4 laps short right now here, Aaron.
4 laps short. Yeah, let's look. We're lap 154. So 25-25. So right now you can pit and still have to make 1 stop. So perhaps one of those stops was short-filled, which that's one advantage if you do pit now. And if you're expecting this to go green the rest of the way, the second you can, come in.
Yeah, and SPD also overshot his pit, and it's a long one. 15 seconds and counting. He may have sped.
He sped on pit road.
So our second victim of that.
1 little second, Aaron, and it's game over. Simple as that.
Yeah, and without the way this race feels right now, it does have that green flag feel to it, and 15 seconds on the racetrack. Well, coming off of a penalty, demerit back up to P5, but these laps right now are the most aggravating laps a driver can have. You were in contention to win this race. He had a chance. Our race leader, Treno, who is in the pits, Treno is in the pits, but he could not get around Truss, the dirty air. He couldn't get around him, so had demerit been there, he may have been able to push.
Yeah, as Martin Pavelski comes out in just over 11 seconds there, you can see Brandon Treno is now on pit road. So, the hot favourite for this motor race, it is Brandon Treno, who qualified in pole position here. Number 7 machine, broken arrow machine, out and away in a total time of 11.1 seconds. So he will come out. 1 more pit stop for him to go. And Paul Treno is looking now at his destiny.
It's all Treno's race now, as long as he can keep it clean, and that's all he's been. He's been a machine today. A very, very disciplined drive, very clean, hitting his marks, and not making any mistakes. But, you know, nerves have an amazing way of affecting you in the last quarter of this race, and things are definitely going to step up here at this point. Especially if we find ourselves under a yellow flag, then all of these bets are off.
And Will, you can have a race that's going too perfectly.
Yep.
And that's really I think Immo in '94, Schechter, where you're just dominating the race and something happens. The last thing Treno wants to hear is his spotter to say yellow. That is the absolute last thing Trano wants to hear. Now, on the flip side of that, there's 20-something other drivers that are just pining for the yellow, but we talked about the marbles earlier. As we get into the end game and people are going to be fighting a lot more for spots, all it takes is a driver to step one wheel outside the groove into those marbles, and that yellow flag will be in the air.
Well, it's worth noting, Aaron, if you're going to get a caution and your trainer, you don't want it in the next 10 laps.
Right, not in the next 10 laps. If we do get a yellow now, expect Trost to stay out. He will become the race leader. Everybody's going to stop, and because if everybody comes in now, everybody's going to be in the same boat. So, but a yellow would really mix things up and absolutely crush Brandon Trano's soul temporarily.
Earlier on, Paul, Holgate almost lost it down in turn number 2.
Yeah, about 5 or 6 laps ago, I saw Holgate was in turn number 2, and right as he started out of the exit of turn number 2, the back end just kind of stepped out a little bit, and he had quite a wiggle. And really, in this car, if you see a wiggle, then it's a huge event in the car. These cars do not do very well sliding around, and the way they're trimmed out, if you have any sort of sideways action at all, the car will get away with you very, very quickly. And Brendan Trano, kind of a risky move to get around Marcus Jensen, who's just come out of the pits very slowly. But these are the things that make make Brendan grip the wheel just a little bit tighter. Those kind of encounters right there.
Oh yes, indeed. We've got Randy Chenoweth here then on RaceSpotTV. Randy, of course, earlier on here today was a part of the Blancpain GT World Endurance Championship. And well, Randy, how was the race earlier on?
The Blancpain race is absolutely fantastic, Will, and something that's absolutely interesting to me right now. We have this Indy 500, and Brandon Trano looks like if this stays green, he'll win this race based on strategy. That's exactly how VRS Coanda Simsport won the race today at Silverstone.
Well, we're on board right now with Rick Music. Rick Music has had about a minute's worth of airtime so far, Paul, but he's in P5, hunting down Chad Simpson. Never discount P1 Motorsports ever, because if he wins this race, he'll do something like that team owner John Paquin couldn't do, the likes of Jason Hurst, the likes of Ron Black couldn't do. Rick Music will be the P1 hero.
It's been a long time coming for P1. It doesn't look terribly good from this position here if everything stays green, but again, this is Indy. Anything can happen, and it usually does.
On board right now with Jake right there in the California machine. Well, he slipped back a little bit actually, Aaron. 9.95 second pit stop there, but still, he's doing alright. P number 19, but he will shuffle forward in this sequence long term, because one more pit stop is all, well, no, he needs to still do one more pit stop, but it's going to be a very, very short Bertrand Baguette style splash and dash.
Oh, speaking of that driver, that's the last thing these drivers want. I often refer to him as that one Belgian driver that was leading late in the race that nobody can remember. And that's the thing about Indy, going back to the 2011 intro, perhaps the best intro of any sporting event of all time, in my opinion. But in that, they say you're either first or forgotten. And for demerit, that may have been the speeding penalty. That may have been the difference. With all the pit cycle, Holgate back up to the point. I said he needed to make 5 laps, so if he can get to lap 167, it might be doable on one more stop. So Holgate may, you talked about him getting loose earlier. These cars are made to be driven full throttle. If he's driving quarter, half throttle, that is really going to upset the balance of the car, which may have led to that looseness. You have to be on the edge, and that's one thing new drivers to this car have a problem with. The car needs to be run at its maximum ability, or it's going to be a handful. So I think that may have contributed to that, and we can see Holgate saving fuel that last lap of 41.3.
Yeah, I was going to point that out to you, Aaron. Will, Tim is definitely... Oh, and Anthony in turn 3.
Throw it all out the window.
That's Tim Hauser.
Oh my, and the thing is, no one will be able to make it from here.
And Bill, this is a very bizarre incident. Tim Hauser got too wide getting ready to get into turn number 3, he caught the wall, and the car climbed the outside wall, kind of bounced over, and he just a lapse of concentration, it looks like, for TM Hauser.
That looks very much like Kanan's incident in 3, that one year that he just pushed the wall on entry.
Mm-hmm. TM Hauser, number 20.
So this changes everything.
Well, the thing is, though, once upon a time, I once led an IndyCar race at Charlotte Speedway, and I lost the lead on pit road. What I did is I topped off at the very, very end, and everyone thought I was crazy. I ended up winning the race because of fuel mileage. And it's that time here, Aaron. If you can save fuel, if you come in and you top off with 1 to go, as TM Halsey, you see, actually, he just hits the wall on the run into turn number 3. A lapse of concentration, hits a safer barrier, a huge impact for him. But if you top off at the very end, then there's a good chance you can just about save, and you might just be able to make it. But you've got to be so restrained. You've got to be more restrained than anything I'm allowed to say on a broadcast.
The good thing for Holgate, I have lap cars between him and Trano. So, Holgate is in, Reek is in, Music is in, Trano stays out.
Why?
Trano's only got 10 laps on that tank of fuel. I don't know. This is a very strange strategy.
You come on towards pit road, you count backwards. Aaron, it's simple here.
I mean, if we get 3 yellows, 2 yellows, you can make it from now. Trano can't. He has boxed himself into a hole. I don't think he can win this race. I don't. If we get a yellow, everybody that pitted is going to stay out. This is about the most questionable call. He has the speed. He has been able to pass. Guys, come up with some logic of why he would stay out.
I have none. I've
got nothing.
Oh, Brand, what have you done? Brandon Trano.
Holgate's starting P2. He's going to be able to run full fuel. Holgate's going to have nothing to... Wow.
No, the thing is, if you're Holgate, you don't run full fuel. You let Brandon Trano just walk away. You run, and fuel makes you free for a couple of laps. But you're going to get yourself to... Well, we're going to go back to green on lap number 169.
And Brian Spots is out of fuel.
And
is Trano thinking... Is he thinking everybody's going to come into one, thinking the race is going to go green, and that's when he's going to make his pit stop?
But if the race goes green on 169, then Holgate can still win this motor race. Brandon Trano has just potentially thrown away the biggest race of his career right now. We're going to step aside, do some math. We'll be back with more after this. There's Brandon Trano. Welcome back. They're going to come back. And here's the thing. With Tim Holgate, yeah, he has to save. But they can just about do that, Aaron.
They can, and let's see. Did anybody... Jake Wright has pitted. Lichtenberg. Marco Aurelio, Brazil. So we do have Brandon Trost pitted. So those drivers are going to be running a little bit fuller fuel than our leader. Holgate has been saving fuel. I'm going to take a look at what his stints are. But as for, I mean, during the break we were talking, and still we have not come up what Trano...
Well, let's consider this.
I have no idea.
Let's consider this. All right, so Brandon, we got 33 laps at the green to go. Nobody can make it on that fully green.
Yeah.
So, even if everybody has to stop, Brandon Trano needs to take on more fuel.
And he loses.
Well, no, he's going to be in earlier.
He'll lose 2 seconds.
So he loses that time. Right, exactly. Just what we were talking about at the beginning. You know, you're going to lose that time in the pits. There's no way. Unless some miracle happens, and I don't think it's going to. I cannot see a scenario by which Brendan Traynor wins this race unless we get several yellows.
One yellow. That's
one yellow.
One yellow.
And everyone else, apart from Brandon Traynor, can make it. 2 yellows and Brandon Traynor will be close. 3 yellows and it'll be okay. But this is not a yellow flag race. Pace car on towards pit road. One guy looking down on the inside there as if he's going to try and get out of the way. Green flag back in the air. RaceSpotTV fan immersion coming up now. Well, Aaron, they survived the hard bit.
And you never want to say a race is hilarious, but looking through the field on how many cars could have made a pass that previous lap and didn't.
Gentlemen, can I break in real quick?
Go ahead.
Tim Holgate has served a black flag.
No!
He's now found himself in 18th position.
Oh my word.
We are trying to figure out from the race stewards what happened. He must have passed somebody under yellow.
Pit road. It's passing under yellow.
He had to do a stop and go. And this effectively ends Tim Holgate's chance.
The odds of a repeat, he could have made history. Could have been a repeat winner. Gone. So he has a say in who's going to win. And today, the tracks that you've already had yours, it's time for someone else.
Quick thing. Anyone who's wondering why Indy doesn't have a night version is because there's no lights on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You try racing an IndyCar in the dark here. It ain't possible. Aaron, over to you.
Yeah, and there's been about the track having lights, but it's the largest single gathering of people in, largest single sporting event in the world, and this year sold out. Absolutely sold out. The infield's going to be, when I was at the track, they're actually putting in temporary grandstands in the infield, so the infield crowd is going to be immense. This could be the largest gathering of people for a sporting event that we've seen in the last 20-something years. But now, okay, here's the thing about Holgate. If he has been a master of strategy, was that a long stop, or was he just coming in to splash and go to the end?
Well, Holgate was in for 4.5 seconds, but I think it was because he had to serve a black flag. Also, Alfell and Steele are in. They've short fueled, except for it looks like Steele's taking on a full pull. But Alfell took 5
Holgate's
seconds.
Stop was strategy. That was not a black flag, because if Alfalla pitted, they're pitting so they can run full fuel knowing nobody can make it. So don't count Holgate out yet. That was by design.
As Marco Brazil is on pit road as well. There you can see Marco coming on towards pit road, number 15 machine. Hey, would it be nice if Marco won at Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
They came close once, though. 6 comes to mind. Uphill, the last 100 yards comes to mind?
Yep. And there's one thing actually worth mentioning, Aaron. You just mentioned it. Indianapolis, during the month of May, during the actual Indy 500, it hits the top 100 cities in America for one stadium.
And back when the populations were a little bit lower, Indy would have more population than the entire state of Wyoming. So that puts it in perspective. The entire state of Wyoming would have, well, IMS would have a greater population than that. So, I know you're going to be there. I know a lot of people listening, a lot of people in this race are going to be there. It is going to be a tremendous, tremendous show as Lichtenberg is in the pits, Demerit is in the pits, and boy, I got up in this pit strategy. Yes, it's like a road course that we see where you want to pit, so if yellow comes out, you're going to cycle back to the lead, and maybe, just maybe Trano strategy put everybody else in this box, because if Trano pits, I think we would see everybody trying to, but since Trano stayed out, everybody's trying to do a fuel math number, and that's why we aren't seeing perhaps the overly aggressive racing that we would see with a restart with less than 40 to go. And as I say that, we have side-by-side action. This is actually with lap traffic with Pavelski, but Pavelski boxed in with Spots and Lichtenberg in front of him through 4.
Yeah, Trano to his teammate ain't much, Paul, as it stands. 25 to go, next time by, this time by.
And we're into the show or go home portion of the race here. So if you've got a move to make, now's the time to make it. And just looking up and down the charts here, it's apparent to me that we are looking at a strategy race. Absolutely. I don't think we're going to see the knockout punch fuss that we saw last year. I think we're going to watch a strategy race. And again, you know, there's going to be some people trying to make up some positions here at the last moments. So we're going to see guys start to thread the cars out a bit, and maybe take some chances.
I gotta wonder. I have to wonder. We saw Brandon Trost pit on the 1 to green. He's running laps at full speed, 44.6. If you're saving now, all you have to do is stay in front of Holgate. That's a 25-second differential. As I say that, Trost slows down to a 42.1. So, yes, the game is afoot. If anybody was going to try to make it, I was thanking Trost. He slowed down to a 42.1. All he needs to do, Paul, is stay in front of Holgate. And if he can make the fuel, he may have this.
And here we would written him off. Now Holgate's making, or rather Trost is making a run for it. And you can tell he is way off the gas here. Guys are just eating him up. But he doesn't care. He doesn't care. As long as he stays ahead of the guy he needs to stay ahead of. And,
behind
you know,
him.
he's got to meter that. And he may well want to get behind somebody because he can save even more fuel doing that.
And Jake Wright also, Chad Simpson also pitted on the 1 to go. And, well, Trost made contact with Chin earlier in the race. And right now, Joshua Chin could be Brandon Trost's best friend. And Joshua Chin making no effort to get around. Finally, he goes to the outside. Trost just pulls over. Got to be careful because he's also racing Jake Wright for the position for the first car that came in with the 1 to green. So this battle, if they all can make it, Chad Simpson is in the best position at the trail of this train.
This could be fascinating. And, well, it wouldn't be Indy, Aaron, without a strategy call.
And we have 3 right now. Have whatever Trano chose. We have the Holgate strategy, and we have the Trost, Wright, and Simpson strategy. So 3 different strategies. What's going to win?
Who knows? Who knows? And who knows indeed. And, well, Paul, this is what we love about Indy. Because, yeah, you can end up having 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 drivers separated by nothing at the end of a motor race. Or you can have a strategy race. This is a strategy race right now. And it's worth noting, 27 lead changes here today.
It absolutely is. And it has been an action-packed race, even though we're talking about, you know, Aaron and I are laughing about, we're watching Joshua Chin swerving all over the place, trying to break the draft for Brendan Trano. Chin's got to be careful. This car is not designed to turn right. It is keyed out to turn left. So you keep screwing around like that, you may find your car turning right, and it'll just continue to turn right. So for what Josh Chin is trying to do, and I'm not exactly sure I understand it at this point in the race, but...
remember, Paul. Remember, Trost made contact with Chin earlier in the race, so the last thing Chin wants to do is be the car that lets Trost win. So Chin is trying to break that draft and not give any assistance to Trost. He knows Trost isn't going to try to pass him, and Chin's like, okay, I'm not helping you anymore. I'm going to pit. So Trost is now on his own, leading Wright, leading Simpson, 10, 11th, 9th on the track. So Chin was not going to be aiding those trio anymore.
You know what? The second that Chin came on towards pit road, Tro's lifted up big time. 181 out of 200 laps scored completes here, this time by, and well, we've had ourselves 4 cautions for 10 laps today. This won't be the fastest Indy 500 we've seen, but it's right up there, Paul. This will be about the 3rd fastest we've seen here in iRacing Indy 500 history.
We've seen a remarkably clean race thus far, Will. I'm very impressed with these guys, and it's looking like it's going to be a really good one. Not the pack racing that maybe we've seen in the past, but certainly.
Caution!
Caution!
Caution! And Pavelski and Simpson. So they're on pit road, but Joshua Chin's your caution, and this changes everything here. And he lost it coming out pit road.
He did 2 wheels to the grass, and man, that's 3 laps down, bringing out the yellow. You don't want to see that, but for some drivers, they really wanted to see it. That is a big break to, well, okay, let's think about that. Is that a break for Treno or not?
Not enough. Not enough.
Not enough. Not enough.
You'll listen to Treno right now. He slowed that car all the way down. Let's listen in. That car's using nothing right now. I'd say one thing. Randy Krosno, P6. Where has he come from, Paul?
Don't call it a comeback. You know, Randy Krosno, I was talking to him, of course he's a teammate of mine, but we're talking to him. He finished last night's race. He ran last night, and he was proud just to finish the race. And really, I mean, with the luck that Randy Krosno has been having in these events, you know, I got to say, maybe the monkey is off his back. We know that Randy Krosno is a fast driver. We know that he's skilled. He certainly has experience. He just has the Andretti luck. Mm-hmm. And, you know, now that he's actually finished one, perhaps we've broken the curse. What are we looking at here?
Well,
we know Treno's going to pit.
He has to. That's the issue. He's coming on towards pit road.
Other than that,
who's following him in? No one.
Jeff Drake, he stays out. Marneef comes in. Music, Ellis, Krosno, and everybody on back is going to stay out. So, multiple strategies here. It's going to depend on how much fuel they can run, because Alfala and Holgate, they're going to be our first cars that pitted under green. Simpson, actually, where is actually, Alfala is in front of Holgate now. So, Trost, Wright, and there, they pitted on 1 to green. So, again, we're 15 laps, about 15 and a half laps away from this race being concluded. We have no idea what's going to happen.
We don't.
I think that Drake can make it on this at this point.
Indeed, and it could well be fantastic for the number 21 machine. We think you can make it on fuel. We're going to find out. But before this, hey, there's something to warm you up. Back in a moment.
Heroes. Legends. These are the icons that inspire us. Larger-than-life characters who risk it all, looking fear in the eyes and wrestling it to the ground. Men who are never satisfied. It's an unquenchable thirst. A win is never enough.
At that moment, losing control of the car. He looks for a place to come by. Got people out there shouldn't even be in the goddamn race car.
Michael Andretti, dramatic return to IndyCar racing from his year.
Inside. One more right there.
Who will be the next to stake their claim in history?
Jeff Drake, is 15 laps away from immortality right now, Paul.
But let's look at who's behind him. Rick Music, Kevin Ellis Jr., Randy Krosno, Jake Wright, Brandon Trost, Tim Holgate, Christopher Demerit, Mac Pavelski. These are all guys that can make it on gas, especially when you talk about Demerit and Pavelski. They have no problems. In fact, Holgate pretty much may have no problem here. But definitely, Demerit and Pavelski can turn the fuel mixture way up and just go for it. We're going to see some very interesting racing here.
Well, I said earlier, Aaron, we expected a caution with about 10 to go. This is potentially our caution. One more, it gets very interesting. At this time, Rick Music is in the catbird seat.
That draft, and we actually have a cast of characters in the top 5 that have not been leading all race long. Jake Wright is in 5th, Krosno 4th, Kevin Ellis 3rd, Rick Music 2nd, Jeff Drake 1st. We really don't know which car can lead the most. Do they have to save half a lap of fuel? Oh my goodness, Will. This is Indy paint some pretty good canvases, and the art we're about to see is going to be amazing. That pace car turns left. Here we go.
Here we go then. 15 laps to go at IMS, and Jeff Drake picks up the speed. Green flag back in the air. One more time. 15 to go, Aaron.
And in the back of the pack, Trost and Holgate are going to be in a hurry. But up front, Jeff Drake pulls out to 2-3 car length lead. Got to watch a draft. The leader oftentimes a sitting duck on restart, so Music is going to get a good run off of 2. Let's see if he pops out or saves fuel. This is going to tell the tale. He goes to the inside, and he's going to have the momentum. And is he going to bring Ellis 3 wide into 3? No! That would not have ended pretty, but we have a new leader, Rick Music, to the point for now.
P1 Racing a lead here at Indy with 15 to go. And Paul, what a storyline is this?
This is amazing. And one looking back here at Trost. Trost is cutting it up back here. He's up to 6th already, and he's already sizing up Tim Holgate. In fact, it looks like Pavelski just went around him. But
Kevin Ellis to the point.
It's crazy. Kevin Ellis now to the lead. So, 3 wide, almost 4 wide into turn 2 here.
Oh, my word. Well, we do expect that business to really pick up at the end of this motor race, and it is exactly what is happening right now. Kevin Ellis will lead the lap there that last time by Rick Music. Can't keep with him. Kevin Ellis Jr. right now is in that catbird seat. And well, where's he come from? He started this race 27 positions back from where he is right now.
Unbelievable. What drive. And that's why, well, I remember when Marneef won this race, Will. We did not talk about him until the final 15 laps. So this could very much be a repeat of that, but still plenty of stories to be written as we're still still 12 and a half laps to go. Does Music have anything?
Behind Tim Holgate, Randy Krosno, Brandon Trost, Brandon Traino. Traino looking on the move. Trost there, down to the inside of Randy Krosno as we head ourselves on the exit of turn number 4.
Here comes Traino.
And look at Traino. He is on the move right now.
This could be one of the most historic drives if he gets to the point. He has the time. He has the speed. That lap, even with making passes of 40.5, that is only a tenth faster than our leader, but that was with making passes.
Got trouble in turn number 2 there, and we stay green for the time being. Oh, Krosno, Randy Krosno, the bug hits him again. He's going to come down pit road, potentially this time by, but Randy Krosno, the bug has hit him again. He's out. He's out of this motor race. He will not be able to finish. Look at them. They're swarming around him right now. The bug hits Krosno again, Paul.
And it just doesn't get any better for Krosno. It's just unbelievable bad luck. You know, but, I mean, he's still out there. So,
It was slight contact. I believe Marneef, Krosno was trying to make a pass, made slight contact, and got sent sideways. And he actually had an amazing save and went through the access road in turn 2. May have got a couple cones stuck in the wing, which might be why he's off pace, but a great save by Krosno, but any chance of winning this is now gone.
10 laps to go, 5 cautions, 12 laps. We promise there'll be no images of wives here on the last 10 laps of this motor race.
Here comes Pavelski. Well,
to the inside, and last time by, he actually set one of the fastest laps, but Treno, last time by, set one of the fastest laps. Pavelski is really pushing right now. He's past Music, and now he hunts Kevin Ellis Jr. down to the inside. Will go Pavelski for the race lead.
That wasn't so much a hunt, an absolute ambush right around him like he wasn't there.
Get out of my way. I'm going. See you bye. Meanwhile, Brandon Treno, fastest lap of the race, 40.277. Treno is standing on it.
Can we get Pavelski's wife up on the screen, please? Nope, that's okay. We'll carry on. Here we are. Pavelski in the Rockstar machine leads away. Kevin Ellis Jr. in second. Rick Music in third. And, well, a caution now would really change this motor race. Brandon Treno up into P number 6. Here's the issue, though. He's 1.8 seconds behind your race leader. Does Treno have enough in the tank? Well, he's hunting down Jeff Drake. Drake is slow right now because Treno is eating him up like a piranha right now.
Treno is definitely a man on the move. I don't think he's got enough time. We've only got 8 laps to go this time by, and I don't think he's got enough. He needs help. He needs a lot of help. Meanwhile, Pavelski has just basically checked out at this point. Half a second ahead of Kevin Ellis and growing. And I don't know that Ellis has anything for him. Rick Music is desperate to try and get close enough to Ellis to make it happen. But again, the aerodynamics are not allowing him to get up and around him. So it looks like really Pavelski's race to win right now, unless Treno manages to hit the afterburners and just get out of there. But I don't think Treno has enough to get it done. He's working over Drake right now.
They added wing to Treno's car because earlier we saw when people went side by side with him, he pulled away. Now for Treno, they have added some wing because as he pulled out, he had a hard time getting around Drake and really went for an aggressive move in 3 to get to the inside. But he doesn't have the straightaway speed he had earlier, perhaps knowing that he was going to be in traffic. But look at him close. He is closing as Holgate might have bounced off the wall on the short chute, but that is going to allow Treno perhaps easy pickings for fourth. Time is ticking though, and Pavelski is becoming a small dot going towards the sunset.
Matt Pavelski with a 1.4 second advantage right now over Rick Music. Rick Music versus Kevin Ellis Jr. Rick Music is now up into P number 2, but Matt Pavelski is pulling away with this motor race. So as it stands, Pavelski is driving away. One of the biggest leads we've seen. That's behind. They're all scrapping for positions, but no one can touch Matt Pavelski as down to the inside, straight up into P number 2. We've got ourselves 5 to go, 2 seconds. Aaron, are you ready?
Does Treno have it? Does he have it? Pavelski last lap of 40.5. Treno needs, well, he's going to need to put in the best laps of his career. Looking at his best, he on lap 190 ran a 40.2. He is going to need to run qualifying style laps. This lap time really isn't going to give us a gauge of what type of speeds can be run, but best thing for Treno is if somebody can get close and give a little bit of assistance. But with that passing, he lost another 4/10 the margin. 2.1, 5 to go.
5 to go, 12.5 miles to go, Paul.
And it looks like Tim Holgate almost nailed the wall again. But Pavelski is just taken off. He is left. And Treno, I've got to say, that is the move of the race. Treno took care of 3 cars in 2 corners there. And it's just an unbelievable. This is just the way Treno is. When the chips are down, he's just going to hammer it. If he makes it, great. If he doesn't, great. Whatever. At least he tried. That's Treno's way. He has given it all he's got right now to try and chase down Pavelski. And it's got to be frustrating to see that Pavelski is not getting any bigger in front of him.
Pavelski has got a 2.2 second advantage right now over Brandon Treno. And this actually, if it finishes like this, will be the biggest Indy 500 finish we have seen here in the 7 years of broadcasting this event, Aaron. Pavelski is on the verge of making history in that Rockstar machine.
And this is where you try to tune everything out. It's not over till you cross the line and the twin checkers are flying. Ask J.R. Hildebrand. Ask Robbie Gordon. Those are 2 drivers that led on lap 199 and did not win the race. Very easy to let emotions, let thoughts get into your head. Be perfect. Hit the marks. If his spotters are telling him you're pulling away, don't worry about it. Just run your line. You're on lap 198. Settle down. Just finish this. This is yours. But when you're leading late, the adrenaline's pumping, your heart's pumping. It's easy to drop a wheel.
Marnif
Well,
behind
Traino
Traino.
nearly caught the wall in turn 1, and yep, that's what I'm calling Marnif. Marnif is all over Traino. Traino just brushed the wall out of 1, and Marnif just stomped on him.
And look at this then, Traino taking the defensive line. Marnif is there right behind him, in towards turn 1. A caution now, of course, will end it. And we've never seen this race finish under caution. But hey, Aaron, 1.5 laps to go. Here we go. Pavelski is on the verge of making history.
And what a win that would be. He's been a breakthrough driver this past year, but you speak about the yellows, Marnif and Traino for P2 are doing everything they can to end that streak. What a battle for P2. Pavelski off of 4, white flag will be in the air.
One more lap to go then, and again, Traino versus the driver of Nigel Marnif. They're going to play defensive, but Marnif's going to look to the outside. The white flag is out. One more lap to go here at Indy. Through turn 1 they come, and Marnif can't do anything yet. They head themselves now on the exit of turn 2. Marnif actually loses a little bit of time as they head themselves now down towards turn 3 and 4. I don't think Marnif is going to be close enough yet. Ray Alfano is out of this motor race. He spun it around there on the final lap of this race, but it's okay for Matt Pavelski. He will run it to the line. Out of turn 4 he comes, and once again, a new winner here in the iRacing Indianapolis 500. Matt Pavelski joins one of the most illustrious groups in all of sim racing. Matt Pavelski will win here at IMS. Traino will come in second, Nigel Marnif in third, Tim Holgate in fourth, Alex Simpson rounds out your top 5, and for Ray Alfano, well, it's been on the final lap of the motor race. That is the definition of heartbreak. But today, it is Matt Pavelski's day. The number 10 machine there. What a drive. What a race. What a way to make yourself a part of one of the immortal groups of iRacing. Pavelski wins. Pavelski wins. Pavelski wins here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. As there is Brandon Traino offering his congratulations as the two drivers head themselves down to the start-finish line. The driver on your right-hand side is the one who started on pole position. The driver on board doing the donuts is the driver who gets the chance to taste the sweetest milk in all of sim racing. Matt Pavelski is the winner of the iRacing Indianapolis 500. What a day for that Rockstar car. What a day for Matt Pavelski there, Aaron.
Pavelski ran the best race you can run. He was always P2 or P3, and he let other people make mistakes. Traino is going to be thinking about that pit strategy for 365 days, Will. That move is going to be something that's going to haunt him until he gets a chance next year. Maybe it will be his turn next year. This year, one mistake. Talk about demerit. Perhaps the second fastest car here today. Maybe the fastest. Pit road penalty. Nigel Marnif, I think in that last stint, was the fastest car on track. Never got himself in a position. Pavelski was in position the entire race. And we didn't talk about him much the first 150 laps. He was there in the top 4. He was in the lead quartet. We didn't say his name, and oftentimes you don't want our attention because that means you're either leading and bad luck is going to happen to you, or you're going to have a pit miscue, or you're being overly aggressive and taking our attention. He had great strategy in the entire race, and that's why he is your 2016 iRacing Indy 500 champion.
Matt Pavelski doing the Polish victory lap there. And well, Paul, this is one of the most enjoyable guys on IndyCar right now. And this guy deserves this victory because we've seen him strong in 16 Street Racing League. We've seen him strong before, but now he joins a group that has Dos Santos, Tim Doyle,
Matt Pavelski,
so on and so forth. We can do this forever.
Matt Pavelski, definitely a stand-up guy and a solid driver, but you know, you know, he's seen a lot of success in 16th Street. I mean, a lot of wins, a lot of great finishes, very solid driver. But again, this is Indy, and nothing is sweeter than this victory right here. It doesn't matter how many you win. To have this one under your belt, that is what it is all about. You work so hard for something like this, and Pavelski pulled it off, and pulled it off with authority.
Indeed so. As well, there you can see, other drivers now are on pit road. And well, Rick Music ran out of fuel at the end of this motor race. Here's your final race results here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Matt Pavelski continues the tradition. We have never had a repeat winner in the iRacing Indianapolis 500, and that one stays alive for another year. Pavelski wins, Traino second, Marnefin third, Holgate in fourth. Simpson rounds out your top five, with Demerit, Ellis Jr., Trost, Brazil, and Drake running at the top 10. Here's one thing here, Paul. Top 10 drivers separated by less than 10 seconds.
But it was definitely, it's not the tightest grouping we've ever seen, but, I mean, there at the end, I mean, there's some amazing racing. It's both a blessing and a curse that you get a yellow late in the race, and it really does make a great a great broadcast. It was a great call again, Will, Aaron. It was a pleasure to work with you guys, and man, what a race, what a finish, what a decisive win by Pavelski. Watching Brendan Traino try and run him down to the end, it doesn't get any better than this.
It doesn't. Aaron, there's P number 11 through 20. If you're Andy Krosno, if you're Ray Alfala, if you're Rick Music, you're going to be disappointed right now.
Yeah, Ray Alfala just to the outside. He had a huge run on 4 cars. May have been able to make 4 spots at the end. Just a little bit of contact from a car on the inside sent him spinning. So when you look at those drivers, lots of heartbreak. Krosno had a chance. A little bit of contact. Jake Wright, had the race gone green, he may have been your race winner out of nowhere. So you look at 11 through 20, and there's a lot of stories that could have been.
Oh yeah, that's the thing about Indy though. It's always a case of what could have been rather than what happens. There's a remainder of your top 30 there up on your screen. Thank you so much to Paul Jenkins. He unfortunately can't join us for our post-race coverage, but myself, and of course, Aaron Likens will be here for our post-race coverage. Will be coming your way in just a couple of moments' time. Here on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacingLive. What a race! Once again, Stefan Remedy, of course, the driver classified in last. He gets the wooden spoon, unfortunately, here today. But this is Indy. We love Indy. We're back with more after these messages. Oh Oh my word, what another iRacing Indy 500 we have had. Well, what we want to do, before we go ourselves to post-race interviews, we want to show you on board then with this guy. It is Brandon Traino. And actually, we want to try and cycle this back about 2 minutes if we can. We don't know if we can. We're going to try. And here we are. It's going to be Brandon Traino coming through the field. And well, Traino did a fantastic job here today. He worked himself back through the field. And well, Aaron, I don't even want to commentate over this. This is just pure fantastic.
It's art. It's absolutely, but with an absolute edge. Because Traino knew he had to go. He painted himself to a box, and I don't know which one of us is going to do the interview, but obviously the first question is going to be, why didn't you pit? But when you paint yourself into a corner like that, you can then just throw all caution to the wind and go for it. And perhaps one of the greatest drives that we've seen at Indy. We have seen some pretty spectacular movements through the field on the short ovals, but in terms of Indy, to manipulate the traffic and draft in, he didn't have the straightaway speed that we had saw earlier. I think they added some wing, but pure art, absolute art.
And there is a 2-for-1 special. Brandon Traino moved himself from P4 to P2 in the dying laps of this motor race. What a day we have had, though, at IMS here this afternoon. And what a day, what a race. Once again, we say it oh so often, but it so remains true. Let's get a word, though, with your second place driver of Brandon Traino. We are waiting for your race winner to come along. Aaron Likens, ask a question we all have on our mind.
Oh, Brandon Traino, second place drive in the final 10 laps, but I got to go back to a caution. You stayed out. What was the thought?
Well, it's kind of one of those situations where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. With that caution coming out is what really hurt us, obviously, but we figured either way would have worked. Nothing really would have changed position-wise. I could have pitted when the window opened like everybody else, but with my luck, the caution would have came out then, and I still would have been screwed over. But, you know, we came from, I don't know, was that 15th to 2nd in 17 laps? I mean, I couldn't be more proud, and then for having the teammate win the race is just icing on the cake.
You sort of answered my next question. I was going to say, that last drive. Okay, you didn't win the race, but if there's a takeaway, one of the most phenomenal drives through the field, yes, it is a year to the next Indy 500, but is that drive through the field, is that any consolation to what could have been?
You know, I don't know how many laps I led, but it had to have been over half.
129.
Yeah, I mean, that's dominance right there, and then Matt ending up winning the race. I mean, that drive from 15th to 2nd is the next best thing to a win, so I'm going to count that as a win in my book.
Well, second place, one of the more dominant drives, 129 laps led. Shout outs. Who do you want?
First of all, my dad. He's been there for me this whole time, taught me everything I know about racing, and then all the guys at Broken Arrow. We've had a hell of a car for the past 4 years at Indy, I think. Locked out the front row this year and dominated this race, so we're definitely showing that we are the king of Indy.
One last question, finishing second. How long of a wait now is it to next year's Indy 500?
365 days.
Well, I guess that is the literal answer. That's Brandon Traino, second place, and second place doesn't really tell the story. Absolute dominance, one of the best drives we've seen through the field, but in the end, 2 seconds from racing immortality.
And here's the thing, though, Aaron, and I mentioned it earlier on in the broadcast when we were off air. How long would it be until we see Brandon Traino running in the NASCAR Peak Entry Series and running with some of the best in sim racing every other week? Because this guy, his car control and his thinking ability is really up there with very few I've ever seen.
The timing of those passes, the timing of those passes in the last 15 or so laps, unprecedented. It is very hard to make passes and predict just where the other cars are going to go. He did it with absolute surgical precision. So definitely showing car control, timing, you named it, Will. Absolutely named it. So somewhat of a shame he didn't win here today, but at the same time, one person's misfortune is another person's racing immortality.
And indeed so. So, ladies and gentlemen, your winner of the 2016 iRacing Indianapolis 500 for Broken Arrow, it is Matt Pavelski. And Matt Pavelski, welcome to iRacing Immortality. Welcome to iRacing Victory Lane.
Thanks. It's really a bit of a shock because coming to that last restart, we thought we were done. I was 9th, Trina was 15th, so it's awesome to win the Indy 500. But it's just the effort that our whole team had to go through to get there. It makes all the more sweeter.
Now, you and I both know that in terms of our community, this is the biggest race you can win all year long. And you've come close before to Indy 500 victories. How does it feel?
It's awesome because, it is the biggest race of this community and one of the biggest on iRacing. I remember when I was, before I ran the IndyCar, I'd watch it on my phone as I was doing homework. So it's kind of cool to, watch it there, and then here you are probably 3-4 years later and you're running up front and winning it. It's absolutely awesome.
Now, of course, you have the honor and the distinction of drinking the sweetest virtual milk in the world. Have you already had a sip?
Not yet. I think that's gonna be in a few minutes though. So
don't drink on.
Yeah, that'll
be
what the
backlash is.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a very nice thing to do because you gotta drink the milk. I don't really care what your business interests are. You gotta drink the milk.
But of course, from now, what happens next? Because of course, as I say, this is like the center stone of our community's worth of racing. What do you do the next 365 days of the year?
Just try to focus on running the best you can every race. Right now we still got a championship battle going on in the combined series, so it's really just and prep for next year's win. What Brandon just typed in, it's just all about your head down and continuing to do the best you can week in and week out, and just trying to get everything to work out your way.
Well, congratulations there to Matt Pavelski. Before we let you go, your floor, whoever you want to talk to, off you go.
I gotta thank Brandon Treno for all the work, Chris Merritt for all the work on the set. Those two guys really carried it. Ryan Norton was a big help as well. Those three guys really were one of the cornerstones, if not the cornerstone of our team this entire month. And I gotta really thank Ryan Norton because when I was coming on pit road, I was expecting to just come out behind Treno and have it go green to the end, and Ryan convinced me to drop the wings. And if we hadn't dropped the wings, I would not have made it up to the front like I did because I would have been stuck in clean air and I wouldn't have been able to close down on anyone. So big thanks to him. And yeah.
Matt Pavelski, the winner of the 7th annual iRacing Indianapolis 500 here on RaceSpotTV. We've got a couple of other people we want to talk to. We're going to start with the guy who, well, Aaron could have won this race. He led 16 laps. But 16 laps doesn't mean anything if you don't lead lap 200. Tim Holgate coming home in P4.
Oh, Tim Holgate, earlier in the race, we talked about in the broadcast, you had missed your pit a little bit. Did you then short fill that stop, or did you fill it all the way to the brim?
No, we totally filled it there. It cost us a little bit because I think if we hadn't have had that little goof there, we probably would have been in front of 2 or maybe 3 cars that are a bit slower than us on track. When we got hung up in dirty air, it was a bit tough to pass, and that kind of changed our strategy a little bit from wanting to have more fuel but running flat out the entire time to trying to save and then do one last stop. And that was, I kind of knew from the beginning that wasn't a strategy that was going to win the race. It was going to be a strategy that was going to get us 3rd or 4th because Matt and Brandon were just so fast up there in the front that they were going to run us down while we were saving.
Well, looking at, you pitted on lap 1.5, then 165. Was there any way, and perhaps you just answered this, but was there any way to save those 5 laps under green?
Yeah, we were expecting we were going to make it, but we didn't think we were going to be saving it was not going to win us the race. We were calculating against Trost at that point because we knew that he was on similar strategy, and we were trying to figure out if we slow down this much, how are we going to stay in front of him? What else is going to cost us? But the real thing that cost us was we did a trim out mid stint or midway through the race around lap 90, I think, and totally screwed up the balance of the car. I think I clicked it 1 or 2 more times on the front wing than I needed to, and we were just loose as heck, and that cost us when we were coming in the pits as we were trying to figure out where we needed to go back to, and we got that black flag. That wasn't the black flag got us at the point second to last yellow when we came in, right when it went green, or the lap after it went green. Probably everyone thought we were just trying to make it from there, but we actually had a black flag. But it worked out. We actually had a pretty good shot to at least have a good finish there because of that. But the yellows kind of saved us from a little bit farther back from the finish. So fourth, starting where we started, it was a really good finish. Really wanted to be able to fight for the win. Think we could have a strategy. It played out a little bit better for us, but overall fourth is always good in Indy.
You did answer the question on the black flag. You did mention the passing. You did answer the passing thing. Very difficult out there, which made it where you mentioned you changed the aero balance. Was finding the balance of a car that could make passes and yet be fast in a straight line difficult here today?
Yeah, it's a toss-up. You're either, if you're trimmed out, you can pass in the first 3 or 4 laps, and then you're stuck. And you can pass really well in those first 3 or 4 laps, and if you're in clean air, you're going to be a tenth, maybe 2 tenths faster than everyone else. But if you're stuck behind people and you get into lap 10 to 15, you got to have more downforce if you want to have a chance to pass a car that's even 3 or 4 tenths slower than you. So what ended up happening is you'd get behind someone and realize you were just not going to make the pass unless you burned off your right rear, and you'd sit there and try to save fuel and try to make the strategy work or try to force them into a mistake. So it was a lot of a strategy race more so than being able to battle and pass lap after lap.
Well, started 18th, moved up to 4th. Any shout-out this evening?
Definitely want to thank our sponsor, Roboto, always keeping us comfortable for these 500-mile races. It's just a joy to be able to sit here and then go do other things after a race rather than feeling all creaky. Definitely got to thank the guys at Snake Pit Racing. Put together a really awesome car. We just didn't qualify far enough up front to show it off. But we had 2 good runs this week, so not going to complain. I definitely want to thank RaceSpot, iRacing for putting on the broadcast and for putting on the race itself. Thanks, guys.
That is Tim Holgate finishing 4th and not feeling creaky.
Indeed, so that RaceSpot team, I think they suck a little bit. Let's go back through your field a little bit. Christopher Demerit, P number 6. And well, Chris. 27 laps led. What could have been?
I just made errors on my pit stops, really. First of the series was I was about to run out on down pit road, so I pushed the clutch in to try to save that a little bit and just completely just overshot what my target speed was, which is 60 miles an hour. And at that point, I had to throw out my strategy completely and just try to figure out, okay, how can I get the most positions back? But at that point, I was kind of in the back, and I knew that the only thing I could do was really get like 1 or 2 positions back, and at that point, I had accepted that. But Indy always shakes things up. Fortunate for the cautions towards the end for me, but with that low wing, because you want to be able to pass someone and then leave them in the dust, but if you don't pass them, you're gonna get stuck.
No one's asked this question to anyone yet, but how is it to run 250 miles flat out, non-stop, with most of the time all you can hear is and occasionally stopping for pit stops?
There's a lot of we passed the time. Don't worry, Will. Passed the time.
P6, of course, not the result you would have wanted here today. but how do you bounce back for the next IndyCar race that you do and building onto the 2017 iRacing Indy 500?
Well, we definitely had a strong car. I have to thank everyone at on our team for working on it this past weekend, and everyone performed really well. I got one of the shorter ends of the stick, but I'm confident in that our car was great, but knowing that just what ultimately happened was on me, and that's it.
Well, there we are. Christopher Demerit there coming home in P number 6. Before we move on, Aaron, it's worth noting, is Ryan Norton the new John Paquin in terms of his luck at IMS? Because, of course, he's won here yesterday, but in the big race, he's a bit like Paquin. He can't manage to seal the deal.
Very much a possibility. I mean, the heartbreak Paquin had, I believe it was last year, just driving away, tangled with a lap car. And I mean, maybe that's been the theme of this broadcast, that Indy does have a say in who wins. And when Indy doesn't want you to win, well, all the luck in the world is going to be against you. And that very much can happen. Small mistakes or mistakes of others that you get caught up in. It takes 200 laps of perfection and a little bit of luck, and you can drive a perfect race, but if that yellow falls in the wrong spot, the best strategy in the world will work against you.
Yep. Gonna hand it back to you though, Aaron. You're stood by with a non-broken aero driver. It's Alex Simpson for Apex Racing UK. Take it away.
Well, Alex Simpson being in 6th place from the 26th spot, so check that, sorry, 5th place, so a top 5 net gain of 21 spots. How did you manage that?
Yeah, it was a good fun race. Not really sure, to be honest. The car was really good, and we couldn't really go anywhere in the early laps. It was just sit there and just stay out of trouble, and we slowly worked forward with a couple of good strategy calls. And we got some unfortunate luck with when cautions came out. We got cycled back all the way to the back again, so we had to do it all again. But yeah, just slowly and steadily just moved up that order, and we just put a little bit of extra wing on the car for that last little stint, and felt great, and was able to move forward about 5 spots after the final caution there as well. So yeah, delighted from 26th to 5th place.
Well, you mentioned strategy, which I think we're going to interview Tross next, which was on every strategy possible in the race. But is it difficult being in a race where there are 5 or 6 different strategies going on all at one time and trying to juggle what you should be doing?
Yeah, I think we changed strategy about 3 or 4 times as well. It was mainly down to just where we were, who the cars around us, and how quick they were. All of a sudden, we would be with a quick group because we slowly moved forward. So we were like, oh, we can go a little bit longer now, and then all of a sudden we were doing sort of 41 1s and 2s, and we knew we could do 3-4 tenths faster than that in clear air. So we were like, well, let's get in and swap out. So it was major adaptation all through the race, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thank my my old man Andy Simpson for doing the spot, and he loves getting involved in that. And yeah, so he made some good calls tonight, and we moved forward, so it's good.
Well, calls, so I guess you already gave one shout out. Anybody else you want to shout out for an impressive drive from 26th to 5th?
Yeah, big thank you to JCL Sim Racing, much like Tim, those guys keeping me nice and comfy throughout this race. And yeah, I think Computers PC Systems, Elite Driver Services, and yeah, Leo Bodner and Sim Steering.
Well, that is...
You guys, sorry, apologies.
That's right.
Oh, thanking the announcers, that gets some bonus points. I don't know where you can spend them, but you got them. So that's Alex Simpson, 21 positions up. Well, I just tried to give him 21 points, but up 21 spots. Great run, finishing top 5 in the Indy 500.
Indeed. So we've gotten ourselves now the opportunity to talk to Brandon Trost, and he stood by again with Aaron Lakins.
Well, Brandon, I mentioned it in the previous interview. I think you were on every possible strategy during that race. How many different plans did you have during that race?
Honestly, I had one, just stay out longer than everyone else. Fortunately, every time it started looking good, we'd get a yellow, or it'd stay green for too long, and it didn't work out. Like, I think it was, the first or second stop under green. Chris and me come into the pit road. Chris ended up coming out top 5 when the yellow came out while we were on pit road. For some reason, the sim glitched out, put me 20th place. That ruined the rest of my race, basically.
And
of course,
go ahead.
When I finally had the field good, and it was going to be a top 5 finishing position, excuse me, we got a yellow again.
And then one of the stops, you were out of fuel when you got into your box. Is that correct?
Yeah. We had to save a little bit more, so I had to run that dry.
So, ran it dry, and that cost you some seconds. Had the race gone green the entire way from that stop, you were holding off Trano, but had you not lost the time coasting into the pits, were you one stop in the good from everyone else?
Well, I had to coast through the pits to be a stop good, but yeah, I was a stop good at that point. When those yellows started coming at the end, I was a stop good than everyone else, but I think it was about a 3rd or 4th place finish because Trano had me beat, and I think Pavelski had me beat, and I was going to come out with Nigel.
Well, 8th place, and in the pre-race you said you were going to hang in the back and try work your way up your strategy, and that's exactly what you did. Even though it appeared you were on 20 different strategies, you did correct me and say you were just on one, but that's okay. 8th place, who do you want to thank here this evening?
Well, I'm going to say, everyone on my team did a great job. I'd like to thank Joshua Chin for destroying my car almost about 10 times, and thank you for the last yellow that ruined the race.
Well, that is Brandon Troswell coming home 8th, and for most everybody we interviewed, it is a long wait till next year.
It is indeed, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is all we have time for. So, what did we learn here today? Indy once again proves to be unpredictable. It once again proves to be a race where you need to be perfect every single lap if you want to win the motor race. Don't forget, in just 8 days' time, it will be the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500. Catch it on ABC and watch ESPN in America, BT Sport in the United Kingdom, and on ESPN Player in Europe and your local TV stations around the world. This has been a RaceSpotTV presentation of the iRacing Indianapolis 500, streaming live on iRacingLive from the gang, Aaron Likens and Paul Jenkins. I've been Will Vincent, and we shall talk to you all next time. Farewell, and hey, we're back home again in Indiana.